guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex.
All right.
Okay.
You can go to Mexico. You can go to Canada.
Do 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 do.
It's like the only place you can actually go to and not get screwed over is Russia. But who wants to go to Russia?
Guys, we're already live. Thanks everyone for listening to Announcements Bites Back. We're going to cover the John McAfee situation today. We'll talk about some other related stuff, cryptocurrency, elites doing weird stuff, and of course we'll give some
Updates on X.
Updates on X, of course, yeah. So thanks for listening, and please help us out around because we are dealing with shadow bans and suspensions everywhere. So we depend on you guys to do it for us.
Traffic.
And any questions, drop them in the YouTube chat so we can answer them on air.
Do that.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hey, so what do you guys think about what happened to John McAfee today?
I think I don't know. To be honest, it seems like no matter like who it is or where you go, it seems like if you have some sort of information on the powers that be, you're going to be suicided.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. And he made warnings on his Twitter, right? We shared those before. There was a warning that he said he had 31 terabytes of data on the elite, and when he would get arrested, he would release the shit. And second
But
is
that was also in 2019. Why wait so long?
Yeah, that's another thing. You're right. Because like, what are you trying to do? Are you bluffing?
Yeah, okay, but then there's the second thing where he said he is very happy. Well, happy. He's doing fine in jail, and he said if he would get suicide, if he would be committing suicide, it would not be by him, right? He would not commit suicide. So he gave a warning.
I mean, it's the tweet I pasted in the chat earlier. He said, "I'm content here. I have friends. The food is good. All is well. Know that if I hang myself a la Epstein, it will be no fault of mine."
Didn't Epstein say he wouldn't kill himself too?
I don't remember specifically if Epstein did, but I mean...
Yeah, but I mean, like, they were after him, right? They have all this tax evasion or whatever on him. My problem is, why go to a United States ally country and hide out there? You know what I mean? It's just like, you might as well go to, like you said, Russia. Russia? Yeah, they'll take him asylum, right?
Yeah, but who wants to go to Russia, bro? Nobody wants to do that except...
Yeah, if the law is after you. Bro, if the law is after you, right, and you could be thrown into jail and extradited, right, and you want to escape the law, why would you go to a place that allows you to get arrested and extradited? Why? He wanted to go back? We don't know.
So, like, his choice was go anywhere else and possibly get suicided or go to Russia. And like I said, who wants to go to Russia, bro?
So he'd rather get suicided.
That's where Ed Snowden ended up.
Yeah,
So he got suicided, but we still don't have that 31 terabytes of data. There's no like dead man switch or whatever to release the data. So I think the whole thing, and my gut feeling is that I don't trust the guy. I think he's a little bit of a bullshitter. So I think that he framed his own death, and he's somewhere.
But what end though?
I know, we don't know. Until they come out with the, whatever, camera evidence or whatever, we don't know.
I don't really feel like the trouble that he was currently in was worth setting up his suicide, to be honest. Like, pretending a whole suicide thing, I just don't think it's worth it. It's a lot of work.
Yeah, but he was saying that people are after him for 31 terabytes, right?
Yeah, like 2019.
Yeah, if you're worried about...
That's when he made the... Oh, sorry, that was around the same time he made the, he got the whacked tattoo.
Yeah, like, if you're worried about, like, the NSA, the CIA, whatever, coming in and assassinating you, why would you be, like, in a place where they have control, you know? Like, all over Western Europe, it's like the CIA can do anything they want.
Yeah, they have, like, secret prisons in Poland and stuff where they torture people. They have them everywhere.
Either he didn't realize that, or he just thought he was immortal, like he can hide it. I don't know.
Well, and especially Spain, we've seen it with, because in Spain we have companies like UC Global that literally spied on people like Assange. And stuff. They work directly.
When I used to go to Spain, when I used to go to Spain at the airport, they would hit your passport with a sticker. And the sticker said ICTS. I didn't know what the hell it meant. It was the Israeli security service that does air travel security.
Okay, but okay. We start with the basic, right? You start with the basic. The fact, like, how much of a sentence will you get for the tax evasion stuff? You don't get life in prison, right, for tax evasion?
Nope. That's what I'm saying. It's just not worth the suicide.
Yeah, but like you said, in 2019, he was saying that he had a lot of data, right? So, yeah,
I don't see how it would correlate from that far away. Like, I think if that was like the case that had been happened and been done way back then, it's like 3 years ago.
Okay, so then what did he have? Why didn't it ever get released? Like, if he has this stuff, like, he's saying he has this stuff and they're after him, how did it not happen anymore? Like, why did he just kind of go, oh, whatever, I don't care about it anymore? Like, if I found something and I had, like, 10 gigabytes of, like, Chase Bank data, I wouldn't, like, forget about it. Like, they would know I have it, right? I don't understand that. Like, this guy either is nuts or there's something else going on. That's my gut feeling, because...
Well, I mean, he
We're not.
wasn't a picture of sanity, you know?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Maybe he thought he was like a secret agent spy or whatever. Um, 007. It seemed like he promised a lot of things, but he didn't really do any of it.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay, but
I don't know.
okay, but so this guy, I said it shortly before the show. He sold his company for like huge amounts of money, right? And he made a lot of money with it. And at that time, when he had all that money, he was actually partying with like these richest people in the world, right? With these elites. And if anyone would have some dirt on these people, and we all know that he loved to party, this guy, then it would be him. And he will know, like, these people do sick things at parties. Like, we all know the stories about what they do. And
Like at Epstein Island.
yeah, like the Epstein Island. But we also have, like, in Italy, we have Berlusconi, and we have, in these regions, we have similar things where they organize, like, these sex parties, and they hire these, or they get these underage girls or almost underage girls at these parties, right? And they photograph these politicians with them and start blackmailing them and these things. That's all what happens. It is the mafia involved, and they blackmail politicians for power, and they use them. They invite them to these parties, have sex with underage girls and stuff, or do like heavy drugs and stuff, and they get photographed and videotaped and later on blackmailed. This is the kind of stuff that he would definitely have been. He was present at some of these parties, so I don't doubt that he actually did have some data on these people. That is yeah.
Yeah, and once you have that data, whether it's 3 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, you're a target.
Yeah, you're a target. Yeah.
Yeah, so like, why would he forget about that? And then just like, oh yeah, no problem. See, from what I understand, he was running from the law. Like, this is like maybe a year or two ago. I was watching a weird interview with him. Don't remember where. Maybe it was like on Adult Swim or something, like some weird show. And he was saying something like, yeah, they're trying to frame me for murder and all this stuff, right? I forget what it was, his wife or something like that. I couldn't understand what the hell was going on. Like, I don't know if he's making some stuff up or he was really after him, because his actions don't show what the reality was. Like, if he did have data on people, why would he be nonchalant? Like,
He also has this tweet pinned at the top from June 16th. The U.S. believes I have hidden crypto. I wish I did, but it has dissolved through many hands of the team McAfee, and my remaining assets are all seized. My friends evaporated through fear of association. I have nothing, yet I regret nothing. Yeah, that's the last thing he pinned to his Twitter.
oh shit, how did he run out of money?
Hey, so we have Terrence in
Time.
we have Terrence in the chat, and he said they couldn't get to him in Eastern Europe. He said he does, and I believe him. Think we will need to wait. Either way, he said specifically he had info on the FBI, CIA, and NSA, as well as others.
Send info to them.
Are you talking about Taryn?
No, about Terrence, and he was on air
hey,
with.
Terrence.
Yeah, he was on air when McAfee was also on with us.
So wait, he said that he sent data to the NSA and the CIA?
No, he had info on the FBI, CIA, NSA, and others.
How much you want to bet that data will never come out? Like, he's not smart enough to put a kill switch. Like, you know how, like, Assange, if something happens to Assange, he has the key for his dump, right?
Yeah.
That's his insurance policy. Where's this guy's insurance policy? Where was Epstein's insurance policy? You see what I mean? If I were Epstein, let's say, and I would known I was going to get killed, or McAfee or whatever, would I not have someone else that had my data that could release it if I died? That's what I get annoyed by these things, because I want stuff to come out, right? I want stuff to change, and it's always like this fucking excuse, like, oh, I forgot, or I didn't do the right thing,
So you're saying that kind of lack of insurance for McAfee is kind of one of the reasons why you think that he orchestrated, his quote-unquote suicide himself?
I mean, I'm feeling like it's kind of strange. Like if he actually had that insurance, right? And he's a smart guy, right? He's a computer guy. Wouldn't he set up like a dead man switch where like if he died, it would be released, so they wouldn't kill him, and he would just go and party the rest of his days? I don't know, because it's weird, right? He died, and we're not hearing anything about the info, so it died with him.
Well, we're not sure yet. You
Yeah,
have to
maybe
wait
in
in
a
the
few
coming.
days.
Yeah, you have to wait a few days at least. We know his wife is still active. The same.
Hmm. And whoever's the fucking dumbass that is running his IG account posted a damn Q. So now that psyop is going to make another comeback.
Oh yeah.
Huh? Did he believe in Q?
I don't even think so.
You talking about the
Like-
Q people, like they believe in Anon Q or something like that?
Yeah, the
Come
QAnon.
on, trust
Well-
the plan, Jack.
Well,
Storm
McAfee,
is coming, Jack.
he did mention things about the deep state, etc. Just saying.
Was he good at 5D chess?
I
Yeah,
don't know.
bro, he played 7D chess.
At least.
Oh my god.
The chess game wasn't that good.
No, but you play the chess on a very high level at that point, Jack.
It's a bunch of garbage anyway. It's just makes stupid people think he's smart.
Yes. Neurolinguistic programming. When you try to use something that's smart, but you actually don't know shit, and it kind of makes you pumped up, like, oh, he's talking about chess. He must know what he's talking about. Yeah.
Basically, yeah. 5D chess at that.
I'm a smart guy, but I can't stand chess. Like, I don't know. Like, I had friends into it, and they're fucking like neurotic OCD kind of people, like sitting there thinking about a move for like a half an hour. I don't know. Like,
I don't have the attention span for that.
yeah, no. I mean, some of the really real life smartest people I've known are actually not that mathematical.
Depends
Well,
on
you don't.
what
you
your
don't
mind
need
is
to-
focused on, right?
Yeah, but you don't even need to be good at math to do math anyway. I mean, all the steps and formulas are Googleable. So, like, why do you need to be a math?
Yeah,
You do math anyway.
Yeah.
You don't need to. You just Google how a formula works, and then you can use it. So I don't see the point in
Then
memorizing
plug it
all that
in.
mathematics. Yeah, it's that simple.
Yeah, it like kind of reminds me of like a automotive engineer that can't change his own tire on his car. You know, like he designed the car, but he doesn't know how to change stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah, regardless, like, okay, so if he would have Terrence makes another good point, like, even if he has, like, facts about them, we literally have a flight log from Epstein Island, and nothing happened. We have
That's a
the
good
exact,
point.
we have the flight
Oh,
log, it's
yeah?
been published, we know that these people went there, and there were all these underage slave girls there. And these people just walk
There's
around
a
like nothing
bunch of
happened.
CIA shit that's already out there. There are
So my
correspondences between Richard Helms. You have the freaking MK Ultra that's already out there, and people still don't do shit. Like, bruh.
That's what
Yeah.
I'm trying to say. It's because it's all psyops. You know what I mean? Like, for real. Like, it's gotten to the point of where you can put, no matter what you put in front of people, it's not going to make a difference. They're comfortable. They're nice and comfy. They have their job. You know what I mean? Most people do anyway.
Yeah, but that is Huxley's Jonah and the whale. They don't.
Yeah.
They won't get out of the whale. They're locked in. Like,
Yes, as long as they're comfy and they don't have a problem in the world, and they're just just going along their merry way while there's chaos all around them, they're not going to give a shit. It's that simple.
How long can this last? Like in the United States, right? Like a lot of people are getting fucked, right? You know, house prices are going up, salaries are going down, and even the future we might get shut down again, right? How
Yeah,
is it
probably.
that these people, like how do these people still like root for Trump or Biden? You know, like that doesn't make sense.
I don't see how they can root for the government at all.
Yeah, but they do. And that's really weird because COVID, like everyone's terrified of this COVID that might come back. And it's like 1984. We were always at war, right? And in the movie, in the book, whatever, you could see that the urgency that they had around them, but nothing was happening. People were walking around, they were like always vigilant, like what is it, see something, say something kind of shit, right? I feel like that's what Americans and Europeans too, right? They got up to the point where even though this shit is over and you can take your mask off, they're now with this gain of function story, they're worried about the next one. They're worried that, you know, we might die. And if you keep people afraid of that, they're never going to wake up.
Yep, that's the thing though. It's where the psyops is. They're doing it so perfectly, bro. They got the people that are comfy no matter what happens. Always comfortable.
Yeah.
Nothing ever changes for them. And then you got the people that really give a shit, but they're too afraid to do anything because they put these people like John McAfee and Epstein and then Assange, you know what I mean, they're put on display, and they're like, look, if you get any information and you want to talk about it, look at what's happened to this famous guy. You know what I mean? So if you think if this can happen to this real big, powerful, famous guy, what do you think is going to happen to you and your family?
Yeah.
That's the point. It's the point.
Like,
Point blank. It's fear.
But the thing is, if I were in McAfee or Assange's spot, right, and I saw the writing on the wall, like they're gonna come after me, whether I hide the data or not, I might release the data.
Everything's always perfect in hindsight.
But sometimes you got to release the data, because this is the thing. Like, you ever see one of those spy movies or whatever, and the guy's afraid, and then he ends up releasing the data. Once he releases the data, he's not a target anymore. See what I mean? Like, that's one of those biggest flaws in strategy. He's like, they think like holding on to it is gonna like protect them, right? But if these guys find out where your copies are, or they set up a mitigation, what do they call that? Like in the media where they shut it down. Like, if you release it without them knowing that it's going to get released, like out of nowhere, it might actually reach some people. And then afterwards, why are they going to kill you? You already released information.
Like I said, everything sounds perfect.
Well, as a punishment to make an example out of people, I mean, that's what the part of the case with Julian Assange serves as, is to make an example out of people.
Yep.
People who go against the truth.
Yeah,
not
but
just
right now
make an example out of him, but to put, very tangible measures in place to ensure that they can go after someone for the same exact thing again.
And they even showed for the people that do the wrong and then that may want to change their mind. For like example with Epstein, not to say that he was really going to change his mind, but it's still a good example. And that if you have this sort of information, even if you decide to turn, to turn around and, start, doing something about it, you're going to turn out just like Epstein did. If you were to turn yourself in and want to reveal all this information about, what was the evils and wickedness that was going on.
But if you have nothing left to lose, like Assange right now, he's on a death sentence. Like, they're not going to let him go. And if they do let him go to the United States, they're going to kill him.
He would already be dead if he didn't have any leverage. Just saying.
But I'm saying, if he released the data, right?
If he releases the data, then he's dead.
Yeah, then he's dead. He will die instantly.
Let's have
But you're saying this while you're not in his shoes, sitting there being mentally abused.
I'm saying what I would do if I was in his shoes.
Yeah, but but everything sounds perfect in hindsight, and that's what you're using is hindsight.
What they are doing to Assange is they're discrediting him as much as possible because they have data. Of course, WikiLeaks has data, so they're discrediting the messenger until the data is no longer going to be effective.
So then why not release the data now before it gets destroyed?
Yeah, that is always...
we're always waiting. We're always waiting for a hero. We're always waiting for a release of something, right? And these guys, I'm not saying he might be unwillingly, but there's cases of like these, whatever you call it, the media, that take these stories from these whistleblowers and then they choose not to run the story, right? If these whistleblowers just gave it to everyone, there might be a chance that it comes out on slow news day, let's say, and then maybe someone sees it. Maybe Jimmy Dore talks about it. You see what I mean? Like, if we have hot data on our hands where we can say, look, 9/11 was set up, or whatever it is, then things could actually probably get to the point where it's shocking enough that people pay attention. Not like, oh yeah, we knew about Epstein for 10 years. He was, working with Bill Gates. Now it's old news for people. That's
Yeah,
why
well-
they don't care.
Well, let me throw up something for you. That this is a massive mass cult mentality, right? It is tested with Charles Manson, the family. It's tested with Scientology, right? You throw data at these cult members, it's not going to even be effective against these cult members. They will stay members because the leaders of the cult will say like, this is false data, we have the real story, stay with us. And if you are, as long as you stay part of the cult, you will be in that happy state, right? You'll be happy and
That's what I'm
entertained.
saying. That's what I'm saying. No matter what data you show these people, they're so intertwined into the system.
Because the cult has their own data broadcasting thing, and the cult
So
broadcasting is more powerful than anything.
If it's not on,
So-
if it's not on CNN News or one of the news that they watch, as far as they're concerned, it's not real.
No, it's a cult
Okay,
news
so-
network.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to answer with an absurdist answer. If I knew that I'm doing the job of getting data from whistleblowers and I know that it's not going to change anything, then why am I doing it in the first place? Why would I put myself in that situation to be at risk? If I can't release the data now because it's not going to work, it's not going to work when I'm dead and the data is released, right? So to me, like, I don't know, that's like a battle that's like you're lost already. You're lost from step one.
Yeah, I kind of think that these days too.
We could
lost a long
argue-
time ago.
We could argue that the data of WikiLeaks, etc., is not aimed at us anymore because we're already far too controlled. But it is actually aimed at the regions in the world where the control system is not as powerful yet, and there is where we actually see people rising up. Like we saw,
That's a fair point.
WikiLeaks was powerful. For
That's fair.
example, in the Arab Spring was very powerful. It made a big change. Was in the Catalan revolution was a very big change, right? And that's-
Yeah.
Wait, wasn't the Arab Spring kind of set up by us, Western NGOs?
but at the
It was a
start,
whole cluster, though.
Yeah,
At
but-
the start
Yeah,
it was organic.
Yeah,
but,
at the start it's
everything-
organic,
But
yeah.
like everything it gets, but like everything, it eventually gets co-opted, and it was eventually used to, foment color revolutions and further destabilization, opening the door for terrorists to come into places like Syria. So
Yeah, which sounds like the original plan of like the United States is like, okay, let these guys have their organic revolution and then we will jump in and steer it, right? So like, you see what I mean? The purpose of doing this to try to wake people up that are in a society that, let's say in Egypt or whatever, right? The people like know that there's corruption, right? So like letting them have a revolution isn't going to change anything. It actually makes it worse, right? Because now you have the West sticking their fucking nose in everything. And I don't know, like, are we that dumb as a species right now that we keep letting these predators use us against ourselves? I don't know.
I think we in the West are way too deep in already. So if I'm saying like it's not for us anymore, we can't get out.
Yeah,
of
but I
this.
mean,
There's
It-
no
it-
escape.
not for us.
but it didn't.
No.
But it didn't even help the Egyptians, let's say, with their Arab Spring, right? And other countries, right? It didn't help them. Like they had a revolution or whatever, and then like, you see what I mean? Like, what do we have? Why are we spreading truth for them locally to figure out they need a revolution? Meanwhile, like in South America, it's different. Like they know what happened to them. They don't need someone to tell them like, yeah, United States has been screwing you over. They want to steal your lithium. See what I mean? Like all this kind of like this leaking thing. If it supposedly set off these revolutions, it would have been set off organically. The people seeing what's happening, right? So why do we need to get involved? Like, is this kind of like a twisted kind of like white man's burden? Like, oh, we need to tell them what's going on. They already know.
Yeah, okay. So, but you can argue that 20 years ago, people would believe that when the people in Iraq live under a so-called dictator, Saddam Hussein, they will believe that the Americans coming in were there to bring freedom, right? But like looking at videos like Collateral Murder, where you see people being murdered in the street, innocent civilians, there is this wake-up call for the Middle East to not always trust the American army when they come in, right? And it's the same as with Syria facts.
Wait.
Go ahead.
No. They never trusted us. When we went into Iraq, the people knew that the United States was there to take the fucking oil. That they didn't need us to show them video of our shit to be like, yeah. Like in Vietnam, for example, did the Vietnamese need what is it, the New York Pentagon Papers to prove that they're being fucked over? No. We act like we're the ones doing the truth. They're the ones that see it up front. They see, in Bolivia, they had a coup. They're the ones that had to go through a fucking coup with this crazy Christian woman, right? We didn't need to leak any records saying that we set it up. It doesn't matter who set it up. They know what they have to do, right? But I feel like this Western mentality of we're the ones, we're going to save the day. We're going to release the truth. Oh, I'm sorry.
I see what you... Oh, no, I got the gist of your argument, though, but I think there's still a very tangible... I think there's still a very tangible need for people, at least within the West, just to understand that, so we can not only, first of all, get the fuck out of the global South, but also so we can kind of take that newfound knowledge and learn from that past in history to help focus on our own societies and improving that. Because I think even how you said, with something like Iraq, even if well, obviously most Iraqis knew all of the crimes happening that were pictured with the Iraqi war logs, but I still think it's very necessary for people in the West to be able to know what's happened there, not necessarily for the sake of so we can, quote unquote, save Iraqis, but so we can, first of all, get the fuck out of there and learn it for ourselves and just for the sake of the truth as it is. That kind of makes sense.
Well, I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced entirely, Rob, that the people of Iraq were all against the Americans beforehand already. Because I know the Americans dropped leaflets out of the sky saying we're coming to bring democracy and get rid of this evil dictator and everything. They dropped leaflets from the sky. And also, factually, if you look at the population is 40 million, right? There live 40 million people in Iraq, and if the 40 million would truly be against the Americans the second they would come in, the Americans they wouldn't last a day. No matter what army you have, they wouldn't last a day in Iraq. There's 40 million, right? All weapons.
But if people are dumb enough to follow a leaflet, and they have the internet to watch collateral murder, how would they believe the leaflet that the United States is coming there to help them? It was clear that we set them up to take the fall for 9/11, right? They knew it, the ones that would go on the internet or would follow, alternative media, wouldn't be reading leaflets that said the United States is here to help you. They know. They're not. In South America, they know. Even in Colombia, our ally, my coworkers from Colombia, they're the United States comes in there and they run their businesses and they take the profits elsewhere. Only the upper class people in that society are the United States is good because they profit from it. I just kind of I feel like this whole thing might work better if, let's say WikiLeaks or John McAfee had a setup where one truth was released every few weeks or every week or something like that. Because then it would be a steady stream for people to start going, what the hell's going on,
Not a bad idea, actually.
I don't know. It's just it's not a good strategy to be I have all this shit and I'm holding on to it. And if someone kills me, it may not even come out, right? How do we know what's going to happen if Julian dies? Do we know it's going to happen? We don't know. McAfee, we got to wait, right? I don't know. It's
with Julian, I think with Julian it's a slow kill until the reputation is so much destroyed that there will be as little effect as possible on for the information that's available.
So why not release it now? Why not release it now? That's
I would say that too. I would say that too. I would do that too. But it's up to them.
It pisses me off. I feel I'm not saying he is, but I feel like he's serving a purpose for the deep state or whatever to show that this is what happens to journalists that try to release information. They end up not being able to release it, whatever his encryption key, data dump, or whatever is supposed to have all this crazy stuff, right? I mean,
pretty much turned his own strategy against him in a way.
yeah, I don't know.
I don't know how big the team of WikiLeaks is now, but I know that there's a lot of data delivered to WikiLeaks every day still. The drop location still exists, so every day still data is delivered there. So yeah, we don't even know how much they have.
What was the last shocking thing that they released? Because I haven't been following them for a long time.
That's a good question. Yeah, I mean,
you know what I mean? It's like, how do we know? How do we know the people he trusted are actually like, doing whatever job they're supposed to be doing? Because he's in jail, right? He can't even go on a computer.
no, and the computer he got, all the glues were glued down, all the keys were glued down. So yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, they said he had to write a defense, so he said like, yeah, he needs a laptop to write his defense, and he got a laptop, and all the keys were glued down, right? Can you imagine that? That doesn't do that to a person.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, who knows who's running the site anymore? I mean, like, are we ever going to get anything that's real? How do we know they're not just going to mothball it? I guess that's my problem. Like, remember we were talking with local leaks? The idea of like the data should be open source. Like anyone should be able to just go in there and find it.
Yeah.
See what I mean? Like, how do we know? I mean, it's scary. I don't know. Kind of disappoints me, but whatever.
Well, yeah, like with WikiLeaks, at the height of WikiLeaks, was like one of the most powerful media powers in the world too. Like, so many people were disseminating information, and the connections with all the media were really good. They were spreading the stuff WikiLeaks was releasing, and it went everywhere. It went viral, every little thing. So, and slowly it's been like torn down. Like every single ally was taken away, and they've been hammering against Assange for such a long time that slowly his credibility was, well, not to us, but to the mainstream was destroyed, right? I mean, for me, nothing changed ever. So, but yeah.
Yeah, for a while he was very popular with I don't know so much the ABC or whatever, but Democracy Now, NPR, I forget what other shows. I remember him on a lot of shows, and it was weird because I was just thinking like I didn't know at the time, but the media has been rigged, for like since Clinton, right? So how come they were
long
covering
before that?
Yeah, no, but I mean, conglomerated, like where even NPR is controlled by a donation group or whatever. Monopolized.
Viacom and Rupert Murdoch and these people like have a lot of influence, powerful people.
Yeah. So, like, why were they covering him? Like, what purpose did it serve them? To, I don't know, like, because like, I know I sound a little crazy, but in 1984 they had that guy Emmanuel Goldstein, who was like the fake revolutionary guy.
Mm-hmm.
And the fake revolutionary guy was the one that would like, come on the TV like he was hacking the system and start saying like, I have data on this, I'm going to expose the party. And it just ended up being a honeypot.
Hey, we have Dina in the chat talking about the Clooney Foundation. Did we cover that before? Or?
Oh, have we covered it on this show?
Did you cover it on Slow News Day? Yeah.
Yeah, they did.
Okay.
Did? I honestly don't remember.
That has to do.
Yeah, I mean,
You go ahead, Glory.
for a rundown of that, Basically, if you go to the website of the Clooney Foundation for Justice, there is a convenient little tab on there all the way to the left that says Trial Watch, which basically monitors, like, standard kind of NGO type deal where it monitors human rights and journalist cases around the world. They list a couple places in, like, Turkey and such and such. And then one trial conveniently missing from that is the trial of one certain Julian Assange. Now, normally this wouldn't raise much alarms because we don't know, these NGOs don't give a fuck. But then you go to the advisory board of the Trial Watch, and Ed Fitzgerald, QC, is on the advisory board there, who is one of the top defense lawyers in Julian Assange's legal team. So, raises quite a bit of red flags as to why Julian Assange's lawyers, and Amal Clooney used to be involved with Julian's defense team as well. So, it just
With
raises
Jennifer
some
Robinson,
red
right?
flags as to, yeah, and fucking Jen Robinson too. So, raises a lot of alarms as to why there is a freaking CIA regime change front being so involved with Julian's legal team. And, we're finding this out coincidentally when we're having some troubles communicating with Julian's legal team because, the case is very clearly being dragged out in the appeals courts. So it's very sus, and I hope that it gets addressed and abolish lawyers.
Yeah, it's scary. It reminds me of the Dallas nurses. They were suing because they got fired for not taking the vaccine. And there's another guy who's like a legal advisor. He was going through the whole motion, and he said that, like, these lawyers that they hired sold them out. Like, they didn't actually make the argument properly, and now they have to go to appeals. Like, are they milking him? I don't know.
Yeah, well, there's always a risk to attack the legal team of Julian, for example. But I did raise question myself too. Like when they when the Americans lost their case and they had to appeal about the whole extradition thing. That the lawyer said, like, okay, can you release him on bail, and was refused, and that the only alternative is to keep him in the highest security prison, which is not at all true. Because the lawyers, the first thing should have argued, can we then put him in a house arrest situation? Because the guy is in the bad health and everything. We can put him in a house arrest. Like the thing is, the bail was denied because there is a flight risk. Because he fled to an embassy before, right? And they're scared he might run to an embassy and they can't catch him anymore. But you can put him in a house arrest situation. He doesn't have to be in a situation where he is with killers, murderers and rapists in an isolation situation. It doesn't have to be like that. So why didn't the lawyers push that? The lawyers could have pushed that. You have such an expansive lawyer team. You should argue every single day, put him in a house arrest situation. Simple.
Yeah, so who's the one that oversees his, like, whatever, advises him, like, on the outside? Like his wife or something? I don't know. Because his partner, sorry. Because we don't, like, wouldn't you like, if you were in jail and you're dealing with this case and you really don't have direct contact, you would have someone that you trusted to watch your back, right? How come that he didn't see this? Like, the people watching his back didn't notice?
Okay, real quick. AKA GB asks, Mark, do you believe in McAfee's suicide? Well, I don't believe in his suicide. I think he's murdered, but we will never be able to prove it. So, yeah, I think. He announced, he said he had dirt on these elites, 31 terabytes of dirt, and later on, like what Gloria already read, he said that he would not commit suicide himself, and he said someone else would have done it. Yeah.
Nope. He got whacked. Tattooed on him.
And we got to see if anything comes out. If nothing comes out, then I don't know, man. I feel like it's a game.
Yeah, I just can't. I can't figure out why someone would commit suicide for texting, because it's not life in prison, and you have if you have good lawyers, you can actually make some deal with them. So
Yeah, I mean, the only way that that narrative could be suited is because he'd be extradited to the U.S., which, I mean, that's a pretty grim prospect in and of itself, but I mean, like, yeah.
we've seen that Dean now, the connections with Clooney wedding and everything. Yeah, we're still looking
Yeah,
into
right.
that.
I mean, it's just strange. Like, why would Assange or his people back him up and say, "Hey, what are you doing with the CIA shills?" Because Clooney
Well, I mean,
wasn't.
he's in prison.
Clooney is CFR, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, Clooney is the CIA's favorite Hollywood actor. George Clooney is.
Yeah.
Amal Clooney straight up used to be involved with his whole ass legal team. It's like,
It's funny. Josh Clooney is CFR, and I know I'm going to piss off people with this, but the only person standing up for Assange in American politics was Tulsi Gabbard, who was also CFR. Just saying.
Oh,
yeah. Oh, and who else? What's his face? Thomas Massey did for a bit, but that was like more recently. Tulsi was kind of the first, and then Massey came a bit later. And then I think Amash might have said something, but that's because like he was kind of shamed into doing so by Cassandra Fairbanks. Yeah. It's not much, that's why I can remember it so well. Oh, speaking of though, I actually did check in with Allison Mason recently, who's a kick-ass activist on the ground in London.
Team London, Team Assange London.
Yeah, Team London, big up. She said that there's going to be some more actions on the 29th outside the prison that's going to have the MP supporting Julian that are going to have a that will be out there protesting with them supposedly because they haven't been able to get a video conference with them. This event is supposed to be on the 29th, and 24 MPs are supposed to be there at least, because those are the number of them that are supportive of Julian and signed on to that have signed up to be supportive of him. So yeah, Team London going strong every day. Yeah, much love. Eric, if you're watching, I want to be like you when I grow up.
I hope at least I will be as old as him someday.
By the way, there's a lot of lawyers that would step up, right? If they were like, "Hey, we don't want these Clooney fools in our team." I'm sure there's a lot of people that are dedicated, to truth, right? That are lawyers. So, like, why would he keep them? That's why I'm still like, it doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, so there's something to say for that too. That is, the Julian said when he would be arrested that we can't trust anyone anymore except for him or his lawyers. And now we have the problem that we aren't not really sure about his lawyers anymore. So
yeah, I'm not either.
No, but it would make sense. What I'm saying
Even
is,
if all this stuff with the Clooney Foundation wasn't brought to our attention, I'd still be very sus on them, because ever since the appeals portion has started, their communication, to put it lightly, the communication between the legal team and actual on the ground activists that need to organize around the events, their communication has been ass. And yeah, that's just.
Did they contract out to the Sunrise Movement?
Oh God.
Here we go.
Oh my God! It's weird though, right? Because he knows that this happens, right? He knows that there's corruption. Like if he was a naive rich person or whatever, then he might not realize his lawyers suck, right? This guy knows that a lot of things are going on against him, and these guys were his lawyers. Like Lubby said, why not get house arrest instead of getting possibly suicided in jail? I don't know. Ugh.
Well, what I was saying with
But
it, the second he said like trust only me or my lawyers and don't trust anyone else, is actually what I think is the second that the establishment decided to infiltrate his lawyers.
Ah,
Yeah.
but then he can't override that and say, hey, my lawyers are full of crap. Like, did his lawyers like override him and he couldn't kick him out? I'm curious. Like, maybe he couldn't do anything about it. I don't know.
I don't know, but I do know that. Okay, so look, he is definitely legit, right? I can see that. This guy is being tortured. This guy has not seen daylight in 10 years. Like, but the people surrounding him, I have doubts about all of them, honestly.
Yeah.
Because there is like a lot of like celebrities involved and people and like look, these people are like I know I don't even want to say it, but it's like I just don't trust the situation. But I know that he is always being like he is the victim of all of this. This guy is going to die in prison slowly if we don't stop it.
Why can't he say something about it? Why can't he say, look, I don't want these lawyers. I don't want these people, muddying the waters or whatever. Like,
I mean,
I don't
can
know.
he? Like, do we even have a direct line to Julian that doesn't?
He gets to see his wife,
that
right? His
yeah,
partner.
but even Stella is a part of his legal team. So it's like, I don't want to kind of pour everything out there at once at people, but I mean, like, do we have a direct link to Julian where he can say this kind of stuff and not have it be directly tied to his legal team in any way? Like someone like Juan.
It's complete hell.
He has Stella, right? He talks to her. She's watching his back. How would she not notice that these Clooney people are basically the opposite of what he needs? That's my problem. Like, are they this stupid? Or you know what I mean, right? Like you guys found it, right? But you're not doing this full time. You're not a lawyer. You're not looking out for pitfalls. You're not. They should know more than you guys. Like Jimmy Dore makes a joke sometimes. He's like, why does a pothead comedian know more than the people that are supposed to know?
Yeah. That's why I don't want to be a lawyer.
Yeah, I don't know, man. What are they covering up for? That's I don't trust them. I mean, like, what kind of 4D chess are they playing? It's almost Q-ish.
Yeah. The problem is also that Julian, before he was arrested, was always very open with communications. It was very easy to DM him. I DM'd him many times on Twitter, and he would always just reply. I tell you that.
Aww.
And
slide into those DMs, Luby.
Yeah, my Twitter's killed. Yeah.
5 times.
Yeah, like 5 times my Twitter's killed. But no, he was very open with communication. Now it's just like impossible to reach him, and that says something too, because he is and was always very interested in communicating to the outside. That's the thing.
Wait. I mean, well, who would answer his DMs right now? His partner?
His account that doesn't exist. It's now Defend Assange on Twitter. That's his old account.
But you're saying that someone was answering on his behalf before, or
no, it was him himself.
Oh, it was him.
Yeah, but he can't answer now. He's in jail.
Yeah, but I mean, I mean, like, he was always very interested in communicating to the outside, so it would make sense that he would find a way instantly to communicate a lot of stuff to the outside, like through Stella or through other people. Mean,
like he. Yeah. Like, is he telling her stuff and she's not telling us? You know what I mean? Like, she could be lying. She could be like a double fucking agent. Who knows?
Well, she commented about the stuff that happened in Palestine recently, that they bombed the newspapers buildings, and he made a comment about that and said like they might be looking for
Al Jazeera or something like that.
Yeah, and he said if they bomb the newspapers, it means they're going to like invade it because they want to get rid of the news first, and yeah, they want to get rid of the media first so they can safely invade without any information coming out.
They never did though. Yeah,
Yeah.
but they never invaded.
That Al Jazeera building, they were housing Hamas. Please.
Yeah, but you know what's funny is on TLAV, Robert Amlakesh said the Israelis never invaded because the Israelis are cowards. They're like actually scared of people with rocks and like
Yes.
yes. So why would they
No,
bomb
look at
that
how they
building?
reacted. Look at how
Yeah.
blatantly they tried to play. They still tried to play the victim in all of this, despite the fact that they are clearly the occupier. Like there was a video of a dude where and this is an Israeli dude, and he's walking around in the park or something. It's like a nice day out, and then like a loud bang goes off, and he dives to the ground like freaking Neymar, and then he's like, "Oh my God, this is what it's like living under aggression from Hamas and terrorists." Meanwhile, there's literally in that video an old dude strolling around the park in the background, minding his own damn business. Like, okay.
Yeah.
Y'all let Neymar take more convincing dives than the Israelis. It's
What about that? Remember that backpack when they Duma and the woman from like CNN like sniffed the backpack? She's like, "Yeah, it definitely smells like what was it? Nerve agent? I forget." Like, what the
Chlorine.
fuck? Yeah, you're so fucking stupid. You can't even lie properly.
Yeah, because that's what you do when you think something has poisonous gas on it. You sniff it.
Yeah, but wouldn't you think that these liars, like you or I, if we had to lie, we would come up with a pretty good story, you know? These people are that dumb that they can't lie properly, even though their full-time job is lying.
Well, I mean, they're meant to be dumb, though, because, I mean, like, if they were like us and they were smart like us, then they would see right through everything.
So
And it's like,
Yeah,
you know.
but like, she's sniffing the backpack, right? She actually has to act. She has to pretend like it's real, like that guy taking the dive, right? They have to like sell it to us, right? But they can't even do it properly. But then they're like, why would they do it in the first place if they're not going to do it the right way?
okay, so Jade Star is actually right. She says maybe he's too trusting. Maybe a letter sent to Julian as monthly updates in his case, no matter what the truth is, make him aware. Now, we're dealing with the problem there too. Every single thing you send him is being screened. And he's not receiving half of the stuff either.
Yeah.
And they literally, it happened like 2 or 3 times already that they all kept all his letters and they didn't deliver it to him. So, even
Bro,
there,
he couldn't get warm clothes in winter. Like, he literally had to layer and insulate his own cell using books throughout whole winter. And I remember because, like, a bunch of us were literally calling that damn prison every day being like, "Yo, what's up? Like, Wagwan, give this man his warm clothes." And they're like, "Oh, no, there's some
Wait,
complications here. They're in
why
storage right
isn't-
now."
Why isn't the prison following like UN guidelines of like that it has to be like a habitable temperature?
Because it's like the Guantanamo Bay of Belmarsh. I mean, of the UK, pretty much. I mean, it's called Hellmarsh for a reason. Like, it's not a. But basically, Belmarsh, where they sent Julian to, is notorious for detaining and housing the worst of the worst in terms of criminals in and around the UK. Like, there's little terrorists in there. There was a stat that came out like a year ago or so, where out of 797 prisoners in Belmarsh, Julian was one of 2 being held in there for charges related to bail. The rest were like literal terrorists, rapists. There's one video where Katie Hopkins is showing her support for Julian Assange, and the reason why is she's like, "Oh yeah, I was just visiting Tommy Robinson in prison there in Belmarsh, and I noticed how horrible it was. So thinking about that, I really think Julian should receive the proper medical care." And it's like, bro, the literal fucking like Tommy Robinson and is being held in there too. So it's like insane.
But then it's not like Guantanamo, because Guantanamo, we don't know who the hell is in there. Like, we don't know if any.
True.
Yeah, I think I don't
It's just
know.
what
Like,
people call it, because
Yeah,
that's
but I
just
mean,
what
like-
people call it because of its reputation, I guess.
okay,
yeah, but I mean, like, do other people in Belmarsh say that it's cold? You see what I mean? Like, I kind of wonder if is he really the one that spread that story and made all this stuff to like distract us from the point that his lawyers are selling him out?
I mean, that's a fair point.
Yeah, I feel like there's something that is not real about the story. You know, like it's like my bullshit is going off.
Okay, so
Yeah, my
go ahead, sorry.
I was just gonna say, like, my spidey senses are tingling when it comes to the legal team. That's for sure. So yeah, you
So-
come on, Luby.
So MIM Amazing says, I think WikiLeaks is holding back because they don't want to compromise Julian Assange's position further. I would argue that is actually the opposite effect, right? You have to see WikiLeaks as a publishing platform when not just Julian Assange is the only publisher there. It is a platform with different journalists, etc. And actually, I would say, like, if you want to make Julian's position stronger, you would say, like, we keep on publishing with or without Julian because we're a publishing platform. So
Exactly.
yeah,
That's what they did.
yeah. So you keep on
I
going.
mean, the OPCW Duma leaks were huge, and that happened while Julian was pretty much in Belmarsh. So, yeah,
That went for WikiLeaks.
the OPCW Duma leaks, that was WikiLeaks releases.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so, but actually, yeah, you keep on publishing, like, because you have this, and you have to make sure that they understand that no matter what you do to Julian, we will just keep on going, and we're going to increase, we're going to get stronger, right?
Yeah, and they can't charge Julian now for it because he's not the one that's running it.
No, exactly. So yeah, that's the thing. But I get the point though. MIM amazing. Okay, yeah. It could be a motivation of them, but you say, like, yeah, I personally, if I was in control of that platform, would say, like, you publish harder and harder. Make sure that the role of Julian is made smaller and not bigger, that he doesn't get all the blame for everything. You make sure everyone knows this is a publishing platform. Everyone can submit data to it, and the journalists working at WikiLeaks will publish it for you.
Yeah.
Simple.
You still
And I'm
can,
gonna
guys. You're
You know what?
baby.
I'm gonna
Get
plug.
yourself some protection and leak.
Yep, and I'm gonna plug local leaks.
Yeah.
That's a
Big up
good
Ted.
service too. Yeah, send it to both. Send it to all of them.
Yeah, it was good info. LocalLeaks will publish, definitely. LocalLeaks doesn't care shit about anything.
Yeah, I mean, like, if I was leaking information, if I had something, I would leak it to every fucking outfit. Like, why would I only pick the Intercept? You know, the Intercept, who later on, like, you see with, I think, Reality Winner.
Yeah, it's
They
reality
still
under the bus. Yeah.
Yeah, so the stuff she leaked, like, some of it might have been still held. We don't know. But had she leaked it to, like, 5 different groups, you got to do it, decentralized.
Yeah, you push it everywhere. Yeah, definitely. You just make lists and lists of all the media, and you send to every single one of them. And you piss.
Yeah, especially.
Super anonymous. Someone.
Yeah, I don't know.
There's a fight
Yeah,
in the
that
chat.
was me, genius.
There's a fight in the
That
chat.
was me.
I see you. There's a fight in the chat about it. Yeah.
I mean, it's just every day, confronted with the crushing burden that I can never be like super anonymous.
No.
By the way,
Oh, it's
Mark,
not that bad.
when are you gonna file for copyright?
Copyright
on what?
on AVP. Oh my god.
Imagine AVP ending with the copyright, bruh.
Oh my god.
No,
Did
you could
you
put a
have this?
copyright logo, but put it like upside down or sideways or something, just to make a joke.
We could actually do that. We just could file for copyright. Oh my god.
Go in
Just
OBS and stamp like the copyright PNG onto the screen for the duration of an episode.
Yeah, just to troll those anons.
Yeah, fuck that. Whatever is left of Anonymous will not be copyrighted. I promise.
I mean, do they actually have a copyright? Did anyone look it up?
Yes. Selling
Wow.
phone cases,
The
bro.
mask
Yeah, 'cause that-
is from that
Yeah, 'cause
movie.
that-
So.
Yeah, because I mean, like I've seen people use copyright, and it was just a joke, right? Like they put it at the end of their independent movie or something like that, and you can't find it. But these guys actually did it. So,
Yeah, bro, they're selling phone cases.
Oh. Wait. If some other Anon wanted to use the same design, can that copyright holder sue them if Anon is about no one owns it?
Yeah, well, so many have tried it before. First, there were a couple of people tried to copyright the name Anonymous for merchandise. Then there was a guy in who copyrighted the word "Voice of Anonymous" and started releasing all these videos called by the official voice of Anonymous.
The official.
The official account of Anonymous.
Yeah, there was a guy named Christopher Numelka, and he started the Anonymous Party, which was actually the Humanity Party, and he advocated for instead of breathing, you should shoot heroin into your veins. Because it's more because people live on a nervous system, and heroin is super healthy for you. That's what he said. Yeah.
Wow.
This is a really weird character.
So you know, there's a new rule because I remember I didn't like Anonymous at the beginning because they had that computer voice. Here's the new rule: the real Anonymous is actually human. That's it. You don't have to hide behind computer voices. You don't have to be like.
I agree. Enough of this hiding and shit. It gives a shit.
Yes.
At this point, why hide anymore?
If you hide, you might as well be CIA. You know, like remember those fake Osama bin Laden audio recordings where they like didn't show him, but then they would say that it was him. I forget the company. It was some company that was releasing all these. Oh yeah, Osama said this and Osama said this, and it turned out that they were making it up. Yeah. So if you're anonymous and you're using a robot computer voice, you're probably making it up.
Yeah, I think we need to. I'm agreeing with this man here. The days of hiding need to be over because they don't do you. It don't do you any good anymore anyway. To be honest, really don't.
Especially when it's not really that hot button of a topic of Elon Musk. Like Elon Musk, like what? Okay, yeah, you can call him out. Everyone else said shit like that he gets government money, he has a peppered history and all that stuff. But you know, they were butthurt with the crypto and stuff, and I understand. But like, why you have to hide so? I don't know. The copyright thing, though, Slow News Day pointed that out, and I was like just cracking up because it just goes against the idea of what the hell Anonymous is.
Well, I mean, having Central in your name goes against the idea of what Anonymous is.
Yeah, right. So what? Maybe they were FedCoin. Maybe they were butthurt at that. Who knows who they were?
In the words of the one and only Ted Fibber, YAC stands for Uranon Cunts.
Yeah, Uranon Central actually the worst. They're the worst. They're selling merchandise and stuff now. That's disgusting.
How long have they been around?
Well, they've been around for a long time. I mean, Sparta has been around for a long time. But at some point, they say he. Well, we all thought he died, but they say he was arrested and stuff, and then everything changed. So it's difficult to get into that. But
when did they start doing the copyright?
No, it was last year that they actually put in the word official when all these simps came joining in from TikTok.
Simps.
Oh.
Yeah, you had the Black Lives Matter thing after the George Floyd murder, right? And Uranon Central and Uranon News were smart enough to go to TikTok and have all these TikTok channels change their name into Simp Anonymous, right? Yeah.
You know,
Stan Anonymous.
You know what that reminds me of?
Yeah.
You know, that reminds me of the military. Like, you know how they come up with these crazy things like the F-35 jet, and they have to show it off, but it actually in real life it doesn't fucking work properly. And they have other weapons like that too, right? Is that like there for just posturing? Like the intelligence agencies just need to show that they're big and strong?
Yeah, I think it was an attempt to centralize Anonymous. In the end, it doesn't really work. I mean, pretty much all the admins were doxxed after that really fast. So, but yeah, it happens. Like they want to centralize things, make like the largest voices, and yeah. But yeah, it's okay. Look, if Anonymous wants to stay clean of that, yeah, people just need to work harder. I think you don't need to. You can complain about these big accounts, but yeah, if you really want to, you make sure that you make your own big accounts. There are ways to do it. That have to sit back.
So like besides TikTok, right, where they showed their power, have they ever done anything that was really damaging?
Well, Euronon Central pretty much pushes the American military story.
Yeah.
Euronon
Yeah,
News.
so
Euronon News is a little different. There are some good admins in there too, and
Yeah, Greg Hooch was on there for a while.
yeah.
Oh yeah, but I mean the central guys, right? So like the only time they like push the limit is when they were pissed off at Elon Musk, right? So other than that, they're pro-war, whatever, right?
Yeah, well, I get pissed off.
CIA talking points.
I get.
So then it sounds like.
Go ahead.
It sounds like they're a CIA, whatever, honeypot or whatever.
Well,
Where they recruit all these.
Look, the second they start choosing a side in politics is when they lose me. Like seriously, I can't do that. Like I'm not even from America, and when they say like yeah, choose Bernie Sanders over Trump or whatever, I get pissed off. Like I don't.
Yeah, they're all.
I don't care about both.
They're all.
Yeah, they're all garbage. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but
Especially
don't you
if you're outside the United States and they all have the same foreign policy in the end. Like, if
Yeah, they
I'm
do.
in-
It's always the thing.
if I'm
They just-
coming, like if I'm coming from fucking Syria, I'm like, who do I give a fuck if it's Biden or Trump? They're gonna do the same thing anyways.
Yeah, but like sorry, like look into these people. Bernie Sanders from Vermont, and Vermont is fucking like the tax haven for the rich in the world. Like you have to.
Come on, you can't follow Bernie Sanders anymore because you got to trust the plan to be with him. Like
Yeah,
there's a
but
plan now.
Playing
Like
3D chess.
did you hear that they lowered the Medicare age from 60? They want to lower it from 65 to 60, and then Bernie Sanders is saying all this shit like, well, Medicare should also cover your glasses and your dentures and whatever, right? But like,
Yeah, by the time I'm
Were
60,
you-
we won't even have a world. So bye.
No, but there's like three things that are totally fucked up about that, right? First of all, when you lower the Medicare age from 65 to 60, all the private health insurance companies that cover people for that age, they get like the most problematic people off their bills, right? Second, Bernie Sanders is like talking about all this shit about adding to Medicare, but he's not saying like we should have it for everyone, like every other first world fucking country, right?
Like, yeah, okay. So I don't have a huge problem with someone supporting Bernie Sanders, but if you have the biggest Anon platform, and I say like we
Yeah.
speak for all Anons, we talk to the media representing Anons and everything. Well, most of the Anons aren't even from the USA, and they never even heard of Bernie Sanders or Trump. Like the biggest Anon movements are in countries like the Philippines and India and Pakistan, etc. These people don't care about U.S. politics. I mean, they're all the young.
U.S. politics is garbage.
Yeah, and I mean, like, you can't ask like people in the Philippines to say like support Bernie Sanders. Like, what the hell is up with that? Like, it is just.
Why would they?
Yeah.
Why would they even care about Bernie Sanders or Trump or any of that?
Well, Americans they know is
Like-
Rambo or whatever, right?
No, but I've seen it like in Europe. I don't know about like in Asia, but I've seen in Europe when like Obama won and they were all like hopeful and saying like, "Oh, you got a intelligent black man in office and things are going to change." Nope. But why did they care? They wanted Obama to win because they thought like things were going to change. So who knows how Asia sees us?
Yeah.
It's fucked up. I know.
Yeah, like okay, so like the bottom line is they can say whatever they want. Just don't claim you represent everyone. I mean, claim that
Yeah.
represent
exactly.
represent yourself
Like-
on your own account, whatever, but not every anon, whatever. Like especially not European anons. Like yeah, different story.
Yeah, that's so weird.
Yeah, but
Like,
Mark.
bro, Latin American anons would be like, well, fuck you.
Yeah. But Mark, me and Glory, we represent the Netherlands.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Bro, I'm gonna come live in the Netherlands after what you told me, right?
I like y'all football team.
Yeah, well, that's the strange thing, right? It's kind of like I would like claim to represent like whatever Americans want or something. Like, no, it's not. It's not a good idea.
Definitely don't represent what Americans want. I'm fucking mixed with diaspora, so like, no.
But yeah, they do good things
Well,
too. I mean, not only bad things, but just make like make a distinction, like because that's what intelligence wanted, right? To centralize things, and yeah, I think they failed, but some would argue that they won. Yeah, your non-central can definitely be harmful. They connected to that big Facebook page and on news.co with 11 million followers on Facebook. So when you add your non-central with 6 million to that 11 million, they have 17 million. They're much bigger than Jan. They're much bigger than your non.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, but they're marketing. They're marketing to the people that believe in like Q-like stuff, right? So it's kind of strange. Like if they would be like pro-American, pro-war, Anon group, and meanwhile the real Anon people know that you wouldn't be pro-American just because whatever. It kind of makes me wonder. Like their audience is kind of like this audience that is thinking that they're red-pilled or whatever, but they're actually like just getting sucked into another Q-like operation.
yeah, but like you have this problem. Like I talk to like many different Anons, and there's Anons who are like pro-gun, right? Pro-gun rights, which is a fair thing to say.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody should own guns.
Yeah, but there is also
Guns-
many.
guns galore.
There's also many anti-gun Anons, right? And there's also people who are for free healthcare, Anons for free healthcare. But there's also Anons who say like, I don't want the government in healthcare, right? So
Yeah.
that those are fair opinions, and you can't say like, I have this account. I'm going to say we're now for free healthcare, and we represent all Anons. Well, you're leaving out all these Anons who are not for free healthcare, who say like, government, fuck off out of our healthcare.
Robbie,
Right.
what do you think of guns? I'm just curious. Like people being able to own them, living in Europe.
Well, like guns are illegal here, but I can get a gun here in like 15 minutes, so that doesn't help to stop
Really?
it. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. People
Yeah.
like gun laws only stop law-abiding citizens from having a gun.
Yeah,
I would
and
say
actually,
regulate it or whatever, like make visible. But yeah,
Yeah. Well, plus
Uh,
gun laws don't stop like actual violence. You know, they're
No, they
still
don't.
very
People have killed
tangible.
each other for centuries with swords,
Yeah.
with knives.
and actually,
yeah. Well, in the city of London, where guns are super illegal, people in massive numbers stab each other. So yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
and the whole argument about guns, like if you use it in your own house for self-defense, like it's not that hard to prove that you didn't shoot the guy in the back, right? So then, like, why do they act like if you have a gun in your house, like you're looking to kill someone, when really you have it to deter someone that breaks in, or even cops? Like cops are terrified when they hear someone has a gun, they come in with a SWAT team. So I don't know, like it's really weird because it's in your house, your property, and they're acting like you're the criminal, even though everyone else, like the cops coming in with SWAT teams or someone trying to rob your house, you're not the one that's the bad guy. So why did they focus on that? I don't know. It's like brainwashing.
Yeah. And you have one more danger with like removing gun rights in the USA, and that this is part of your constitution. And if you're allowed to like remove one thing out of your constitution, they will remove other stuff too.
Yes, and this, but the thing is, the Second Amendment doesn't just cover guns; it also covers being able to have a standing militia.
But you know why they
be able to bear arms.
you know why they didn't put that stuff in the Constitution, right? Later on, like a few months later or whatever, when the normal working class people found out they didn't actually have rights unless they owned land, according to the Constitution, land owning whites had the power to vote and all this shit.
That is true.
The Bill of Rights came after, and it was a promise, like, yeah, okay, we'll give it to you, we'll do amendments, right? Shortly after the Constitution, right? And this is this is what I realized now when you just said it. Well, they could repeal any amendment they wanted to,
Yes,
but they can't repeal the Constitution. So why did the Founding Fathers never give these rights in the Constitution itself?
That's a good point.
Yeah, like that was something I think that Adam, that show Adam Ruins Everything, where he just like calls out history and all the bullshit in history that's been memory hold. He called out the Founding Fathers because they were elitists. They were like basically fighting a revolutionary war because they wanted a bigger cut of the cotton and all this stuff that they were getting here. I mean, we were that Constitution that we talk about, like when you read the Constitution itself, it's like a lawyer wrote it, of course lawyers wrote it, but it doesn't actually guarantee anything directly. The Bill of Rights do, right? But those things can be repealed because they're amendments. That's kind of weird, right?
They can be, but it would take a lot of votes within the legislature to make that happen.
I think we kind of have that kind of government right now.
That's true. I mean, they all agree on the worst of things.
The first president to use an executive order.
Yeah, I don't know how that works. Executive orders, aren't they?
Executive orders just allow them to rewrite. Basically, just rewrite stuff without having to go through any sort of checks and balances. And
but isn't there a time limit?
Now let me Google it real quick because I don't really know all the details.
Because I know that like in the United States, like all these states that kept extending the lockdown orders, they were using executive orders, but the executive orders only lasted like 90 days. So every 90 days they had to.
I thought it lasts for the full term of a president.
No, I mean like.
No, presidential executive orders can last until somebody changes it.
Okay.
But there's no time limit.
Not for presidential ones, I don't think. But
Yeah, not really.
So then,
I mean, they're pretty easy to change technically because they're just like they're not really laws. They're just like in the name executive orders. They're orders to the bureaucracy, but.
Yes. So then all you need is Congress to not give a shit. So then we have a dictator. We had a dictator since whatever.
Well, yeah, I mean, the powers of the executive branch have vastly increased since a while now.
But I mean, like, Congress hasn't really challenged the president since before Reagan, right? Like, since Reagan, they've just been kind of playing.
Yes, there's
like
different types of executive orders. There's presidential executive orders.
Yeah, is there a time limit on it, or you said it's for the whole term?
No, I think that whenever a presidential executive order happens, I just think that's the way it is until it gets changed again. Like Trump got rid of Obamacare with an executive order, and that's still there. Like Obamacare.
Yeah, but then here's what it doesn't make sense, right? The way to get rid of the
executive orders are confusing in general, anyway. So
yeah, but I mean, like an executive order can be removed by Congress, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so like let's say I'm a super right winger, right? I don't believe in abortion, and I come into office, and I'm gonna get all these votes, right? So I'm gonna just like sign an executive order banning abortion, right?
Nah, I don't
Now,
think we can go that far though.
but if
They can
Congress,
only, they can only rewrite stuff that currently exists, from what I understand.
yeah, abortion is what currently exists. Right now, it's okay to have abortion, right? If I go into office and I say I don't want abortion and I make an executive order, right? Now, the only people that are able to override me, right? I'm challenging this whole checks and balances bullshit, are the Congress, right? But if Congress is a majority Republican, they're never ever going to go against their own president. So
Yeah, because
you can have, yeah, like you had Obama with a majority Democrat Congress. He could have done anything. He could have done an executive order. Yeah, and he didn't do anything.
He could have even passed gun laws if he wanted to, but he didn't do that.
Yeah, yeah. Even Trump, like Trump during his first 2 years, I think, or 3 years, he had a majority Republican Senate, and I forget how Congress was, right? He could have brought back the troops from Afghanistan without any pushback if they would have went with him, right? But he didn't do it. He waited until the last 6 months, floated the idea, and then whatever happened, right? So when I look at this democracy, and I feel like an idiot, but both parties are the same dictatorship.
Yeah,
even if they're for like gun rights.
They're two wings of the same bird.
Yeah, I mean, like if you had a Republican that believed in guns in office, they would have found a way to get him to get rid of, let's say, the Second Amendment.
More gun control has been passed under Republicans than it has been Democrats. For example, Trump with the bump stock ban, and then there was Ronald Reagan. He banned fully automatic weaponry without the Class A license, and he was a Republican.
Wow. Yeah, I know, right? Isn't that funny? And then meanwhile, you have Clinton.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Meanwhile, you had Clinton, who is supposed to be this lefty guy, come into office and pass everything the Republicans couldn't pass before, like NAFTA. And,
it's almost as if they got this charade going on between each other just to get whatever done that needs to be done.
Well, I hate to be the European here, but isn't like the Republican Party has like different sections in it, right? You have the Libertarians, which were like the original people in it, and you have now a lot of conservatives, want more authority, etc., right? But the Libertarian movements, they want less control by government, right? And they would be more pro-gun, I think.
Yeah, but you know what's weird? But what's weird is, like, people like Ron Paul, I recently found out, like, when they ask him about 9/11, he pretends like, oh, no, I never said anything about the inside job or anything like that. And it's weird because this is a guy that's been talking, like, for decades. We should audit the Fed. We gotta change our government and all that stuff. But you have a smoking gun, 9/11. And he's running away from it.
Yeah, he's got a son. He's got a son. He wants to have a future in politics too, and he has a brother who died under mysterious circumstances from pneumonia. But
pretty easy to get people to say whatever you want when they're afraid.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I'm saying though. Do we actually want those people to be like? I thought he was a hero. You know, he was saying audit the Fed.
Same here. Yeah.
But the thing is, every time he said audit the Fed, he would do it, but he would do it like in the outside. He wouldn't like go on like, you know, fucking straight in front of, you know, when they do the press conference. He never really said anything there, but he would do it on like the media, like on Fox News or whatever. Oh, I want to audit the Fed. So I kind of feel like he was playing a role. Like the guy knows that the Fed is fucked up, but he was like pretending. For some reason, I'm getting shades of 1984 with all these heroes.
Yeah, but that's the Tulsi game. Like they played Mac Salad in the McDonald's, right? They're still part of the McDonald's. Yeah. Simple. Like all these others are just normal burgers, and one of them is a Mac Salad, trying to get the vegans in, right? But that's just it.
Yeah, I mean, like I see that all over, and now I'm like,
it's like a game of cat and mouse.
Yeah. And now Jason Burmis was saying, like, you know, or actually, no, Lori, I think you said, what's his name? The Florida governor. They're saying he's like a bastion of freedom, but he's like criminalized, like protesting beyond a certain point or something like that. Pretty crazy. The guy is all about freedom, but you know, he's going after your constitutional rights.
Yeah, well, at some point, the establishment is so powerful that they also create their own enemies. That is just they run their own enemies. They run their own opposition. That's how powerful they are at some point.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's kind of crazy though, because when you look at Europe, right? You guys, all the nations, just jumped. You just jumped into the whole lockdown thing and all those orders and stuff, except for Sweden, right? But what in the United States, we had like states that were already like fuck no. But you would think that they would have a unity, you know, like they would be able to like Republican, like you know, the guy in Florida. He would just toe the party line, which is Trump was saying, like, yeah, we have to lock down, you know?
Yeah, but in here it always happened very openly, and we always called it, well, you can translate it as channeling or canalization. Like, when there was like a grassroots protest, it was very successful, then always, either like from the left or from the right wing, a political party would show up, or a group affiliating with your protest, joining your protest, right? And it would always be dragged into that direction. Like we call them reactionary forces, right? There's old politics jumping into like the new movements, and it would be like, well, we would be like the you know, look at Occupy for example, and then at Occupy you would see FNV, which are like worker unions joining in, right? Saying, yeah, we want more rights for the workers, right? Because we would assume the occupiers are all like the poor workers and working class people. So you see them affiliating with it, and suddenly it is them arguing for you, saying like, yeah, the workers want 3% more this year, right? Then the government would say, no, we give you 1%, right? And they would say, okay, we agree on 2%, and now everyone is happy. End of the protest. Simple. So
yeah, and
that's how they would do it.
That's a gatekeeping.
Of course.
Like, yeah, I know the teachers union in the United States during the lockdowns, they didn't fight to keep like schools working. They were fighting almost like for the policies that will be able to reduce how many teachers they need, right? And then they acted like, you know, a teacher is also like a daycare worker for you, right? So, you know, half their job is like because they take care of your kids for 7 hours a day, right? So what I didn't understand is the unions went, okay, yeah, we're going to let the teachers teach at home, which is going to eliminate half their job, right? And then recently under Biden, the United Teachers Union, which the chief used to be the New York leader of the union, she went and supported Biden's idea of making more charter schools have public funding. And these schools are private schools, but they're taking public money away from the union, and yet she supports it. Isn't that weird?
Yeah. The unions are completely corrupted, of course.
Yeah, I mean, like, but I think I always wanted to believe in this like centralized evil, but I think it's different nowadays. I'm seeing more like the, whatever you call it, the ego, you know, like the people that think that they have the solution end up being the ones that come into a movement and they like hijack it for like their own personal like hero. They want to be a hero, right?
Yeah, but there's also a money thing for the establishment. I mean, it's much more expensive to build your own army against a huge movement than to have your own people walk in front of that movement, like lead that movement. It's much cheaper to do that way.
Cost free, in fact, it just takes time.
Yeah, so you just you have a few people, just you put them in the same clothing, like similar clothing, and you say like, yeah, we're super supportive, and I know a guy who can print your flyers for you. So yeah, that person becomes responsible for the flyers, and that they will stand at your protest. And guess what? The media shows up, only interviews them. Simple.
Yeah, I mean, like, so like, what I'm noticing is that even if the government didn't even touch it, by nature of it becoming popular, it attracts all these pieces of crap that want attention. So like the government, half the time, they don't even have to do anything.
No. And it's not always the government doing it either. I mean, the government is not always they don't have to give the orders for it either. It's the opposition parties too. Like you have an opposition political party, they love to run with these kind of protests and Yeah.
Makes them look good, makes them feel good, powder their
Yeah,
own
it's almost
behind
like
and whatnot.
yeah. So the key point is right to protest something, like the only people that are protesting it should be the ones that are affected, not the ones who are like the leadership class. They should be the ones that later on like promise them stuff, but that doesn't happen, and yet people still protest thinking that they could change stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like they got people fooled to thinking that protest changes stuff, when in fact it ends up, when you become popular enough to get media attention, you get steered into this, whatever you call it, walled garden, you know?
Well, you can argue that you want your protest to be an alternative voice, and you're not so much aim to change things, but you want to give like, okay, so the people in power, they own all the media, they own all the billboards and everything. So what you do is you want to have a voice too. So what you do is you organize a protest, take bullhorns with you and stuff, and make sure that you at least make enough noise that people hear you. That should probably be the goal behind it. And then you hope people will listen to that and change things, vote differently or whatever, if you still believe in voting. Yeah.
Yeah, but then earlier we were talking about how, like, if they release more information from WikiLeaks or whatever, most people don't care, right? Because they're brainwashed. So I see a conundrum. Like, I see, like, yeah, like, people protest and, like, maybe they wake up a few others. But, like, where do we have diminishing returns, you know? Like, all the work for it, you know, where is the optimal place to get things to change? Or to wake people up?
Well, you
Here's the question.
really want to wake people up, then you need like systematic deprogramming. That is a lot of work. I know.
You need, fuck with that cyclops.
Yeah, you need the psyops.
Actually, the one thing that I was remembering from Buddhism or some shit is, like, if you want to change the world, change yourself. And now it makes sense to me, because I always wanted things to get fixed, but like I just gotta be okay with the way things are, and then, like, to the people that care about me, close people, like, I could still talk to them the truth, what I feel, but the stranger on the street is not going to give a shit. And
So
the
that's
people who
Taoism too.
Yeah, maybe.
Is accepting the way of the universe. Because I know there's some word for it that they actually have that translates to the way, and one of like the central tenets of that is to come to peace with that.
Yeah, so it
Yeah.
seems like that's awesome. Like, it's we're here not really because to reach a lot of people, right? You know, because some people in Anonymous are like, yeah, I have 14 million followers, but we don't say anything. But we're here to learn for ourselves how to better tell others, right? To be more complete in our story, so like people don't look at us like we're nuts when we tell them that, like, yeah, the global South has been like raped and pillaged for the last 100 years, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess that's the evolution of Anon, right? It's
Well,
you know,
you know that all the normal people, like we discussed this like with Willem Engel on air, right? Glory. I mean, you remember that normal people, they can repeat, they can repeat these one-liners from like these commercials and stuff better than their human rights. Like, they hear these one-liners on
They
TV.
feed on the tube all day long, over and over again. It's so annoying. It's why
Yeah,
I
they
don't
can
watch
sing the.
television.
No, me neither. I canceled it long ago with television stuff. But I mean,
Oh, you sound like a boomer.
Yep.
yeah, I don't have TV.
Yeah, I don't watch TV either. All the best anime sites are online.
Yeah,
That's all I watch
definitely.
is sites online. I do watch a lot of anime, and I love that Lovey's profile pic is Death Note. It's great.
I know, right? Luby Yagami.
Yeah.
so like even I keep digging deep. Even in like these shows, like this Marvel stuff or anime and stuff, there's always this like central hero. I know some of them don't have that and they're a little bit more organic, but there's always a central hero, and it's always like this is the thing that like we all, I wanted to believe in, right? And
you have the central hero and the central enemy because you need polarization, like in society.
yeah, actually, yeah, that, I've noticed that. Like for example, with the Fauci thing with the gain of function, the alt media ate it up like immediately. Like, yeah, we got him. But you know what I don't believe is that like if you're China and you have a lab, it's your bioweapon lab, your military lab. Why would you have Western companies coming in there and working with you? Like we wouldn't do that in Fort Detrick. So I don't know what this story is about, but like I think we believe like there's some kind of justice, and like yeah, Fauci's gonna get out, but then the CDC is gonna continue to do the same crazy shit, right?
Yeah, I mean it's taking down it's taking down singular figureheads and individuals without actually addressing the systemic issues.
Yeah, it's like the mob, the fall guy, like you know, he didn't kill the guy because the guy is associated with me. He killed the guy because he had a beef with him, and then there's no connection to me.
Gloria, did you read my article?
What was that?
Of course I did.
Because that's what I just put in my article about like the individual. Yeah, that's the thing. That's what
I mean, I agree with it too.
Yeah.
So what are we talking about? I'm lost in my dream world.
Your article, Luby.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know about like when you focus on a few individuals. Like you have all these theories and all these we call them conspiracy theories, right? But like the focus will be on a few individuals and say like if you remove these individuals, like whatever, like Bill Gates or someone else, you remove then everything will be okay again, right? But actually, we're not noticing the issues with the entire system, like it's how it is set up, right?
There is too much focus on the individuals.
And these individuals are often put there to take the blame. They want these people.
When the reality is the system is flawed from the inside.
Yeah, and actually, it's even deeper than that. I think Ted Kaczynski was right. He was saying something like, you can't like shut down like the oil industry because everyone that works in the oil industry, everyone that depends on it and all that stuff, like they get really, you know, you see a lot of people out of work or whatever, right? But when it comes to the biosecurity state, there's not many employees. Like it's actually a lot of administration and marketing and PR, but then there's like a small group of like researchers, right? And people around, they're like paid like, you know, normal like whatever academic wages, but like it's like they themselves don't even follow like the same kind of like normal productivity rules of like you need this many employees to do the job. Like they're actually like the most biggest parasite besides banking. So we will never see the system change by one guy falling down. We have to expose the system.
Yeah, okay. So this is the problem I had with like TLAV, for example. I always watch the shows. I love these shows, by the way. He's a great researcher, Ryan.
Yeah.
I'm just saying like but every time he mentions Fauci, and he says like this Fauci guy, he's doing this or this, I'm thinking like no, this Fauci guy is put there for you to cry about him. That's why he sits there, right? And when you replace him, there's going to be the next one and the next one and the next one, and nothing will ever fucking change because this person is being put there to take all these hits, and that's why he's like 90,000 years old, like he's at the end of his career.
Yeah. It's like Pelosi in the Democratic Party. Like, why is she still like in office? She's already rich. She has connections. Why does she have to play that role? But I guess it's like it's a suicide role. Like you don't care what happens to you. You're gonna now. She's pushing the most like right wing shit because she doesn't have anything to lose.
Yeah. These are actors being put there. I think, but even like Donald Trump, for example, he was put there too. I mean, this whole revolutionary movement of Donald Trump, like, are you kidding me? This guy's a billionaire, was an actor in Hollywood. His entire White House was filled with Goldman Sachs people. Like,
bro, okay, we went from having an actor a host of a reality TV show from 2016 to 2020 to having a literal corpse.
Yeah,
And
but
like people swear that they're actually making their own decisions and that. Okay.
Ronald Reagan.
listen to Obama speak. This guy, his voice is so perfect. He could be on any radio show. He could be in any Hollywood movie. Seriously, this guy is a perfect actor.
Yeah, okay, so that means that the illusion of democracy is so thick that people are okay with someone like Trump, let's say, who surrounded himself with the swamp people, and meanwhile he said he wanted to drain the swamp. And then you have Biden, who surrounded himself with like these right-wing neocons, and Kamala Harris, and people are like, yeah, he's a left-winger. Like, are you really a left-winger if you don't realize that this guy is no different than Bush?
Yeah, he's no different. And actually, you can actually even prove it, because it was Donald Trump, for example, who sold weapons to the Israeli, and 2 months later, Biden uses them, these weapons, with the Israeli against bombing several countries. The exact weapons that Trump just sold.
But the sad thing is that, like, until like the American people wake the fuck up, or the stupid ones die off, this system will continue running the way it is. Because like even Jimmy Dore and Slow News Day, like they're pointing out like the left is lying, clearly lying, and there are people that defend them. They're like, oh no, they're trying to do the long game, kind of like the Q thing with Trump. Like when Trump fills a swamp, everyone's like, nah, that's a plan, that's a plan, that's a plan. What? Like, how stupid are people?
He's playing 5D chess, remember?
Yeah, but how stupid are people to be like, for me to play 5D chess, I'm gonna take the guy that wants to kill me, put him next to me, and that means that I'm following the art of war or whatever. You know, like you guys act. These guys act like they're military generals or something like that, but they don't even know how to balance their own checkbook.
I'd say people who can't even understand the reality around them or how life works in general cannot ever get anything done.
You know what it might be? I remember watching this guy, and he said something like, if anyone believes that this huge country should be run by one person, they're deluded. And the idea is because this country has grown so much that, like, you know, we really we're not all uniform, right? So like, how are you gonna have one guy for 4 years change whatever the fuck he wants, depending on Congress, and you think that's okay? Like, Americans are like almost like indoctrinated to believe in a central single authority, like God or whatever. And in this case, it's the president, or pick your hero, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but that's all created by Hollywood.
It's the Roman Empire. It's the Roman Empire.
Yeah.
Again, reincarnated, like Roman Empire V5, because you see how empire just moves throughout history. I mean.
Yeah, but that is a push by your American dream. You have the George Carlin picture, Rob. I mean, it's pushed by this American dream concept that it's all about the individual, and that you can be successful, and you have people follow the successful individual. But like Carlin said, you do have to be asleep to believe in that stuff, right? So you have they focus on this character, right? And this character gets pushed up, and people follow a person and not so much the ideology. People forget that there is an entire political party behind it, an entire movement behind it, and it is not that person at all. That person has nothing to do with it.
Yeah. So then, how did Europe fall into the neoliberal game plan, like in the 80s and 90s? It just like took all this shit that you guys had that was actually good, like local business and all that stuff, that Italy, for example, or France or whatever, like they would tip over trucks of tomatoes from Spain because they were like very nationalist, right? How did it change from that into this thing where you guys are almost like a mini version of the United States, where you have people that are just like trust the plan, trust the politicians? Canada too. Canada, I heard James Corbett saying, like, they're very docile people that trust their government. So it's really weird that, like, this trust in government thing kind of started kicking into play like the last 200 years.
Yeah. Yeah, in Europe, so many things happen. That's hours and hours of discussion, I think. But bottom line is, like, after the Berlin Wall fell, like, the unification of Germany pretty much went into entire Europe, right? The unification, and you had the Eurocentralists who wanted a strong European power, and it all comes from the whole propaganda movement. Comes from the unified Germany after so many years behind the wall. It's very powerful when the wall finally fell, and people were pushed into wanting to unite.
I'm sending to you and tell me what you think. It's about Assange. It's 10 facts about Julian Assange that can be debunked.
Oh,
Who are you
You
sending it
like
to?
smears?
you posted it?
I've sent. Well, I can post it here, sure.
Yeah,
Oh,
in Discord.
you've written it. I thought you were asking for something. I was like,
No, I didn't write it. Someone sent it to me.
Oh, I see. Hold on.
Well, you guys
is
respond.
it the Kate?
Well, the I don't know who wants to go through it.
Now I'm curious.
Waiting for it to come through.
I
curious.
don't. Number one doesn't make sense because, like, how do you prove that?
I don't think you can.
Yeah, because I hear that a lot, like in conspiracy theories. Like, I'm into conspiracies, but like I'll hear that Rothschild name as if like this one bank controlled the whole world, but really it's a bunch of fucking banks.
Oh, Assange is backed by the Rothschild family. It starts with number one.
Yeah, that's the one that
I don't
right
know
now.
how to prove that.
That's the only one I can kind of go against. Time magazine.
No, so
Time magazine.
okay, I'll start with number 8, October 2012. Anonymous collective makes headline news withdrawing support from WikiLeaks. Is not true. There was a paywall put up on WikiLeaks for a few moments. Was a very bad idea. A lot of anonymous got angry at it, and paywall was removed. Right, simple. It was one or two.
And I mean
Okay,
to
so
address number
so that-
3 as well, where it says Assange's enemy of 9/11 truth and voices for the official 9/11 narrative. I mean, like, yeah, he's obviously not a 9/11 truther, but you don't have to agree with everything the guy believes, especially when he's, suffering right now in Belmarsh, and his case establishes a precedent that gives the U.S. international jurisdiction over journalism. Like, you don't have to agree with everything he believes in order to support him. It just, yeah.
Yeah, well,
But the one thing.
you lose me on when you claim the anonymous collective. Like, what do you even mean? Like, this is not a group with leaders. We are allowed to support
Yeah.
Assange whenever we want to. Like, that's what we just discussed. That you're non-central and not our leaders. Simple.
Yeah, well, but the story is correct that a group of them did get WikiLeaks to remove that paywall. So that's correct. But the 9/11 thing, actually, I've seen a few times where they asked him about it, and instead of him going like, "Well, I can't talk about it. I don't want to talk about it," he actually did a lot of gatekeeping. He was like, "Well, we have."
No, he shat on the 9/11 truth movement. Like, that's without a doubt.
But
And
I was not happy about that too.
Yeah,
But but does that mean he
still-
believes?
Well, even
Sorry.
if it was a shitty move, but I mean, even then, okay, we don't have to agree on everything.
Yeah, but I mean, but the thing is, let's say, okay, so I'm trying to be in his shoes. Like, do I believe the official story, and that's why I'm saying what I'm saying, or do I know that the story is fake, and now I'm the one that's playing cover for the story? You see what I mean? Like, he didn't have to say all this shit. He could just go I don't want to talk about it, or I can't talk about it, whatever it is. Like with Trump, a lot of times Trump would be like, ooh, and then he would come up with a deeper kind of lie to cover up that he knows about something. that's what I kind of don't. That's the one thing that rubbed me wrong about him with 9/11.
Yeah, well,
He could have just.
agree on the 9/11 part. This is a bad move. I mean, I would not agree with him
Yeah.
with what he said.
I mean, like,
I mean,
yeah,
like, he could just. There's always the fact that he's human and he could have this wrong. Like, I know he's a very smart man, so maybe there are ulterior motives going into his stance, but at the same time, like, he's human, he can be wrong, he's his own person, and like, I still honestly look up to him and support him, even though we disagree on that, because, hey, you can support people even if you disagree with them on some positions. And you know what? If Julian gets out, then I would fucking love to have a conversation with him on 9/11 and what really happened.
yeah. But I mean, like, for me, like, those little things add up to like now the lawyers, which I didn't know until recently. It adds up to me that like maybe there's like some kind of intentional gimping, like he's purposely playing a weak role or something, to kind of like distract people from like doing their own, let's say, disclosures. That's like I kind of wonder about it now, because like 9/11, okay, like, yeah, I understand, but then the lawyers and then like the bail hearing, like he couldn't get house arrest. I don't know, like, like, is there someone telling him what to do? Like, are they advising him incorrectly?
I mean, I honestly don't know. Like, there's so little communication with the legal team, and honestly, I think that Julian's own communication with his team is severely hampered, and there's also just the fact that he's very depressed and suffers from a chronic lung condition and is in ongoing pain from stuff like a toothache that never received medical attention from back when he was in the embassy. So, I don't know.
Can we address these other points, please? Because I've seen this smear campaign before, and I want to address these other things. Because for the start, because for a start, you have the fact that they claim Assange is backed by Rothschild, but that is about a lawyer called Mark Stevens, right? And he defended Assange in 2010. But what these people fail to mention is that in 2012, Assange broke with Stevens. They got in a huge fight, and that Stevens' law firm sued Assange to recover the fees.
Yeah.
And after that, Stevens, who is connected to the Rothschild, got his phone hacked and everything. Right, so there was literally a war between WikiLeaks-related hackers and these people. So it's not fair. He's no longer representing him since 2012, and it was only a super short time from 2010 to 2012. This guy was involved in the defense of Assange.
But even then, like, let's say, I'm not saying he is, but even then, if Russia was like supporting him, like even Snowden, right? He's in asylum. What matters is what you release, what you say, what you do for what your goal is, right? So his goal is to release information, right? So what does it matter he's working with Russia or not? Like,
I mean the Rothschild family was what it's about.
Oh, Rothschild. Yeah. I thought you said Russia. But like anything. Like honestly, like there are groups that start off like, yeah, we only do grassroots funding, and they still continue to like support big corporations. And they still beg you for like $20 a month or whatever, like Bernie Sanders. And it's just funny. It's like, these movements are so gray area these days. I don't know. Like, was it like this in the 60s when they had their movements?
Yeah, I bet there was hell illustration. And real quick as well, Mad Mom asked in the YouTube chat, when is the I don't know. Because we are not hearing shit in terms of deadlines. which makes finding things to organize around so
Mark, I
fun and
discussed that when
much
Thor
more
was here.
difficult.
You remember that?
Which part?
Well, they're not gonna fucking tell you where he is, when he is, how things are gonna go. You know,
Yeah.
it's all it's all fucking with the Cyclops and shit.
Yeah. Yeah, and so point 9 we don't even have to mention, I think. Do listeners actually know that, about that?
Part 9.
Do you guys want to
About
discuss
what?
that?
No.
Discuss what?
That looks very subjective. Like, how do you actually say the end of WikiLeaks? Like that's I don't know. Like when I
number
read
9.
through stuff, yeah, it's like it looks like just a judgment. Like it's not actually anything solid. Like there's no proof or anything like that to say that.
Well, I can say that if you want to look into that whole Tyler thing, jump to Reddit. There's a good Reddit section about it, a subreddit, and that is where the founder of the Tyler thing apologizes over and over again for pulling people into a honeypot and potentially getting a lot of people arrested. So just stay far away from that bullshit.
So how?
And,
So then.
Aaron Swartz
So
thing.
how
Yeah,
does
Aaron
it-
Swartz supported WikiLeaks since until his death, and he's responsible for coding much of the secure drop systems. So, I'm not sure we should even talk about that either. I don't know.
Yeah, but he sold him out. It says is that true? I don't remember. Like he named him as a source before he died. Mark, is that true or he didn't?
I can't. I don't know about that. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, like, how did they know that it was Aaron Schwartz then? Like, there was something else. Someone else sold him out.
Oh, Aaron Swartz. You mean with the whole JSTOR thing? The guy was literally caught hacking the thing from a closet.
He was
He was seen on the camera.
got him
Yeah, so
on
then
video
why-
like walking in and out of that closet. So I'm not sure like how this timeline would even work to begin with when they when
Yeah.
security caught him themselves. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, he was
Yeah,
hacking
so like
the
what-
JSTOR system from a closet, right? And there was literally a camera in that closet, and they saw he was hacking the system with JSTOR.
Yeah. I mean,
Using
like
his
that's the
own
thing. Like,
school's access.
yeah. So number 10 is bullshit then, because even if whatever, they're pinning the blame on Assange for all this, when it was like Aaron Schwartz that was kind of naive and didn't put a cover on the camera or something. Because wasn't he kind of a hacker too? Like he didn't know there was a camera looking at him. Ugh.
Yeah, so do we cover everything already? Yeah, he does use the established media to pick and choose what to report on.
Oh, what about Israel? The number 6.
Well, we did mention it that earlier in the show that was Stella Morris saying we were talking about the Palestine-Israel situation, right? And that Assange actually told Stella that them attacking the media in Palestine is likely that they're planning an invasion.
Yeah, I mean, also, like, Julian doesn't have access to everything. It's almost like the same people that were like, oh, well, why didn't you release anything on Trump? It's like, it's because he didn't really have anything to release on Trump. So, I mean, like, obviously, you know, I could very much be generalizing there. But, I mean, yeah. And Israel was mentioned in several diplomatic cables. In fact, like, it was a diplomatic cable relating to the usage of Hamas in the narrative to discredit Palestinian resistance that like we used to help combat narrative managing and propaganda from the Zionists, and that came from a WikiLeaks diplomatic cable. So I mean,
yeah, and what people also they miss out on like the older leaks of WikiLeaks, because there was one of the first leaks WikiLeaks did, and it was the CIA OSC. Secret Israeli databases were released on WikiLeaks. A secret Israeli defense database, where that shows like all the illegal settlements was literally released on WikiLeaks. I mean,
Oh,
there are so many files. There's even like an investigation into sexual harassment and abuse of authority by staff members. There is intelligence operations in Iraq and Afghanistan,
There is
2008.
a lot. There's a lot. Yep. I mean, there's there's so much in WikiLeaks. Like, there's no way to get
Kind of
through it
the
all. There really
problem
isn't.
in today's time is that most people are unable to handle large exorbitant amount of data. You know what I mean? That's
Yeah.
because they're just
Yeah,
not capable of doing it. It kind of like baffles their mind a
but
bit.
but
I want to be fair
But the thing
to the critics. I mean, I do get some of the critics. I mean, like the 9/11 thing, I do
Yeah.
get that. I'm very bothered about that too, the 9/11 thing. I mean, I think much of the activist
Yeah,
community at least has doubts about that event. I mean,
actually, actually, one time he said something that really fucking pissed me off, and I was like, okay, prove it. He said, well, 9/11 is not a big deal. I think it was like on Democracy Now. And he said, I have a lot of information on the banks that is way more important, and it will change things, right? And I waited and waited and waited, and nothing fucking came out about the banks. So he went on the show, and I have to find the clip. Because like when I saw it on Democracy Now, back when I used to listen, I was like, "What the fuck?" Like, you know, you didn't release these bank files that you supposedly have that could expose the system of whatever corrupt banking systems. I don't know. Like he played like this thing like, oh, 9/11 is not a big deal. We have something bigger.
okay,
And then
but
it never came out.
okay, but then all the discussion stops at the second when we realize that we are not defending Assange, we're defending press freedom. And he is
Yeah, exactly.
the canary in the coal mine for press freedom. Like, we would
Yeah.
have to defend whatever Fox News journalist just as hard if that was the canary in the coal mine. But like,
I know, and
Well-
like, thank God it's someone like Julian and not some fucking like dickhead. like Julian's, you know, pretty easy to defend at least, unless like, as opposed to this happening to someone like, I don't know, like Tucker Carlson, say. I mean,
Carlson.
yeah,
but
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. If
Good
anything,
point,
like the whole like these disagreements that I have with him, if anything, that just makes me like want to fight to get him out, so like we can address these. And like, you know, I'd love to have a conversation with him about 9/11 and all this shit. And I bet it would be a fucking awesome conversation, even though he doesn't know who I am. But I mean, like, yeah. The point is we want him out so we can have these conversations, not say, like, oh, well, we disagree on this, so you can rot in prison and press freedom can go fuck off. Like, yeah.
Yeah, like I support the freedom of anyone, and also job protection. You know, like these journalists are like talking about, well, we can't talk about COVID, and we go on Veritas, and now we get fired, right? But the thing is, some things that I see in these like kind of like public hero fights are reminiscent of 1984, because there are heroes that like there's always like a delay. Like it's like a delay. Like I have files that the party is corrupt, but it never comes out. And that's kind of where I got annoyed with the whole bank thing, because like you're telling me that you have these files. Maybe we could have stopped the 2008 collapse or whatever, right? And it didn't happen. So I don't know. Like I support his freedom, but I'm like, I don't really think he's a bastion of truth in some ways. Sometimes.
okay, well that's fair to say. And in the chat is also someone saying, what if Assange is a false flag as well? Yeah, it's possible. I mean, I don't believe he's a false flag, but the thing is, like, we're at like literally on the front lines of defending press freedom, and whoever they put in there, it doesn't really matter, because the lawsuit is going to be the same, and when he loses it, we are all going to lose our press freedom, and it's going to be possible for them to extradite publishers from Europe, in this case, an Australian publisher. From
So in
the
a way,
UK.
it doesn't matter if it's a false flag or not.
Yeah.
So why?
you wanna
So
call it.
why? Okay. So why isn't he smart about his lawyers so he can get a house arrest? And if they deny it, then it's going to look really bad in the media, right? They denied house arrest to a white collar criminal. You know, like that. Well, they're charging him with this, but whatever. The thing is, what's weird is that like he's right now in a situation where they could suicide him at any time, and they have done it to other people, right? So why isn't it happening to him? And the suiciding is actually weird too, because you know, like the CIA, they have like this injection that they can just inject someone and kill them, and it looks like a heart attack. It's not
Oh
like
yeah,
a
the heart
chemical.
attack gun.
Yeah, yeah. And the thing is, why did they like with Epstein? They made him hang himself. He could have just had a heart attack, right? That was like a show. That was like a display. Like, don't fuck with us, you know.
Yeah,
But
that's what I'm
like,
saying.
but there are plenty of whistleblowers that you hear they die mysteriously. You know, like oh the guy had a heart attack in his garage, sitting in his car, and like that's what I wonder. Like the ones that like probably have this like fucking blow the doors open information end up dying of a heart attack, and then the ones that are like kind of like this like mythology, they're like suicide by hanging with cameras turned off. Like you don't even need to do that. Like if you were going to give him an injection or something.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
Okay, but you can argue that actually this entire process is the punishment, right? It scares journalists to such an extent that they won't publish. So that this is the punishment.
Yeah.
He's far more useful being locked up than being killed, because as long as he is locked up and attacked like that, like psychologically tortured and everything, all these other journalists are going to be so scared they're not going to publish. So yeah.
Yeah, so then like if I were him, knowing now, let's say it's a new thing, the Clooney thing, like I would be like, fuck them. I don't want them on my team, right? Why are they still on his team? That's what I don't get. Like if I was in that situation, I would be fighting for my fucking life. I wouldn't trust these people that might like he's very trusting, right? But right now he's in a situation that's like horrible. I don't know. Like I think either he's naive or I don't know. Like why not get rid of these people? Maybe he would have had a fighting chance.
It's good questions, and we have asked these questions too. Like I don't have answers to that.
Yeah, I don't know. It makes me a little bit skeptical.
I just know that whoever sits in that prison is going to be. This is going to be the big step against, and the press freedom is going to. The destruction of press freedom is going to throw us in such a society that we don't want. So yeah, that's what we defend.
Once the camel's back is broken, it's broken.
Yeah, and it's happening in such a public way that everyone will know that the camel's back is broken.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean.
They're dropping a big old brick on it.
Yeah, they want to show everyone. They want to show it to all of us. Like this is what we can do.
And you know where it all started off with? Epstein. That's where I think it all starts, Jonas.
Epstein was a good example of it, definitely.
Yeah, but there was one before that. I'm sure. I just don't know of it. It's probably been a process that's been going, fucking with the Cyclops probably for the past 10, 15, 20 years.
So, like, why are they trying to kill him with that? They had a COVID scare, and then they had the cold room and all that stuff. Like, wouldn't they want to keep him alive to keep all the journalists scared?
He's still alive, isn't he?
He's alive, yeah.
Yeah, no, I just don't... Yeah, I mean, like, I just look at it and I don't know, something about it doesn't sit well with me. I'm not saying like I want him to be free. I want everyone to be free, like especially the whistleblowers that are like in federal jail that we don't know about. In the United States, like they can put you in a court and not use your real name to hide you from anyone knowing that you're in this process. I forget the whistleblower's name, but he was in jail for like so many years and then no one knew. So, I don't know. It's really, really crazy.
Yeah, it also depends on kind of like how you look at it. Like, do you actually put your focus more on like how the family of Assange speaks out for him, because they get a lot of attention, of course, and of course they will focus on Assange, right? But the rest of us, like, we have to realize this is about press freedom. We have to put emphasis on that. Like, of course, it is very bad for Assange as a person, and
Otherwise, you turn it into a pony show.
Yeah, but for press freedom, we have to be like, we want the best fight. We want the right lawyers. We want fucking, like, he should want the same thing that we want for him. We want him to be free, so we don't want these Clooney, CIA, CFR people around him. But like, they're still there, right? Did he fire them yet? No. I just don't get it. Like, he's screwing over the press freedom movement by being ignorant about the people who are basically using him and torturing him, right?
I mean, how is he ignorant though? Like, does he have access to this information? Does he even know this information? That's like the question that I have, because he's been insulated for how long now? But then, like, how much is Stella telling him? Like, with the limited time that they have to talk, how much can she convey to him? And she's on the legal team as well. So, like, who's to not say that maybe there's some connection there that doesn't have her telling him that? And also, she's friends with fucking Jen Robinson, so.
Yeah, so she's a person that we can't trust, right? She might be feeding him shit, so he doesn't know what's going on, right?
We don't know, but we don't know that for sure, of course, right? I mean,
yeah, but I'm just saying, like, either A, he's not getting any information, which means that Stella or whoever is not telling him the truth, or B, she doesn't know, which, how would she not know this? And if it's a critical thing, right, it's number one critical thing, like, you want your legal team to be clean and not selling you down the river. That's what I'm trying to say. It's like, either A, his own people are lying to him, or B, he's just not caring. I don't know. I can't make heads or tails.
Yeah, there's also a C maybe, and that is that he's willingly working with people who have influence and thinking this might help him in the long run, right? Like there's okay, so you have A, he doesn't know about it and he doesn't understand what's really going on, or he accepts that he will be like destroyed like that, or C, he actually thinks it benefits him when there is like powerful people involved, whatever, like CFR connections and all these things, because he thinks he has a better chance working with them, and he actually thinks they're legit.
But oh, okay, so then, like, he's not that educated in terms of, like, the way that these NGOs and groups kind of, like, can pull the strings all over the world?
Well, okay, so arguably, when you work with Russia, for example, you do this under the assumption that Russia is not the best friend of the United States. So you're thinking like, okay, I work with people who are not the best friends of the USA because the enemy of my enemy is my friend, right, in the art of war. Right, and I know that Russians are compromised in their own way. They're bad people too. They are not nice to their own population, right? But you assume that they are enemies. So when you're saying like, yeah, okay, I work with these powerful figures, like whatever CFR related figures, that they don't have the U.S. Government's goals in mind. They have their own goals.
But the thing is, but isn't it clear to most people that look into the rabbit hole that all these groups are basically representing like Western corporate interests? Like, wouldn't he know that? Or I don't know. Maybe that's the problem I have. Is like, what I know, I apply like in that situation. Like, if I were him, knowing that, and maybe he doesn't know that, or I don't know. Like, it escapes me.
It is also difficult to answer unless we talk and observe. We talk to us unless we talk directly to Assange and observe how he answers us.
Yeah,
that's the only way we can do it, because otherwise we don't know.
I know.
But I do know.
When did Stella come along? Like, I remember never hearing of, like, it was just like the last few years, right, or something like that.
Yeah, last few years. Well, they will evolve longer.
Weird. Yeah, I mean, like, she wasn't public before, right? Because maybe privacy or whatever, but, like, she came
I think
around
she
and
was
then...
forced to go public during the whole UC Global thing. They were spying
Oh,
on Assange, and they were like literally looking into like whatever, like diapers and clothes of her kids, saying looking if there were like DNA relations and stuff with Assange, such things. So yeah,
Mm.
That sounds weird.
yeah, UC Global, yeah, it's a psycho Blackwater style thing from Spain.
Yeah, CIA
Blackwater,
frauds.
Yeah, it's kind of the Spanish Blackwater kind of.
but like, there's a recorded history between him and her, right? Like, it's not like we just found out about it out of nowhere.
No.
Okay.
I think they
Yeah, 'cause
attempted to
I-
keep it a secret. I assume they attempted to keep it a secret for as long as possible for her safety. I think she has kids and stuff too, right? I mean,
Oh yeah, yeah.
but yeah, no, like yeah, it's like I said, the best thing would be like if we directly talk to Assange, I guess, and see how we observe his answers and everything. But what we do know is that it is not just about him, right? That we have to remember that we should like no, even if he would be the most compromised person ever, we should give the exact same defense to whatever CNN journalist, because this situation represents our press freedom right now. So we have to defeat the people attacking press freedom. Like,
No, I'm just
Smart.
yeah, no, I mean, definitely. I'm just frustrated that, like, he's a critical piece in press freedom, and he's kind of like willy-nilly sometimes about it. That's what I'm scared about. Because
Well, I mean, no one's gonna be perfect. Like we're never gonna find. Like, it's not like we're gonna find, the absolute like bastion of truth being thrown in Belmarsh, or like the perfect human being thrown in Belmarsh. Like, no, he's human. He's a human who did what he thought who was doing right. He said he wants to help vulnerable people and crush the bastards. So, I mean,
see, I personally, I'm only focused on on this one concept: the ability for the United States to extradite a publisher from another country for publishing, which is not a crime. That's the only concept I want to defeat, right? Because that will stop
but
press freedom.
here's the problem, though. If he chooses a shitty legal team and lets it sit there, what's it going to do? It's going to set a precedent. Once they get that, let's say he like in boxing, you have like a fixed fight, and he throws the fight, right? What, like, just by being ignorant and then playing that naive card, like, that's gonna hurt everyone, because now there's a precedent. Like, well, anytime you do this, we already know that you can get extradited, your head chopped off, whatever. See what I mean? Like, I feel like either. I honestly think that they're lying to him. That's what I feel. Like, there's a lot of things that he doesn't know.
So you would argue that it's possible that they throw up a bad defense on purpose to destroy the press freedom, something like that.
Yeah, and that Stella person, I don't know. Like, what is she telling him? We don't know, right? And if she was actually caring about the movement, wouldn't she try to, like, kind of keep in touch with the movement that's supporting her, the father of her child?
Fair point.
I don't know.
that's a fair point.
Yeah, I know. I watched too many of these spy movies and stuff. You know how the spies work. I mean, like, they gain your trust. That you think you love them. They're like your soulmate, and then you find out, like, I'm working for the other side, and that's George Clooney and what's her name, the CFR.
John Clooney. Oh, never mind.
Okay,
What's her name? Anyway, the other CFR person, I forget her name. They did like that spy movie one time.
Oh, okay.
Fuck is her name? Angelina Jolie.
Oh.
Yeah. All these celebrities, man, they're like, I don't know, like, are they
Pamela
actually
Addison
like,
also connects to the bad people. Yeah.
Are they like kissing up to the CIA because they like it, or are they kissing up to the CIA because they know it means big money?
Yeah, okay, it's very difficult. It's very difficult, but see, I do think it's fair to ask all these questions, definitely.
I feel like there was too many questions and not enough answers.
Yeah.
That's kind of how it turns out most of the time, you know. Discombobulate the mind, and then you don't know what's truth and what's fake and what's false and what's real anymore. Kind
So
of like
that-
fucking with Cyclops.
But
Yeah, it is fucking with the Cyclops.
in that case,
Isn't
Yeah,
it
in that
sad
case,
how
it's
much
like-
they fuck with the Cyclops these days?
yeah.
Yeah, okay, but so the Cyclops only has one eye, right? That is one target.
Yes.
If you hit that one eye, the Cyclops is gone. Like it can't see anything anymore.
Oh, looks like someone got the puzzle.
Yeah, no, but so like when you go back to the root issue.
So you knew what I meant when I said fucking with the Cyclops, evidently.
Yeah, but is the Empire really a Cyclops? Like the United States government and the corporations, like you cut off one, it's more like a Medusa, or what's that one where you cut off the head and another one grows back?
Oh,
That's a
Dragon.
Hydra.
Hydra. Yeah,
Hydra.
that's Hydra.
Yeah.
Because like
Some Greek
as soon as-
mythology in that.
yeah, like fucking Bayer, like the Nazi health company merged with like Monsanto, who's been like poisoning the world, and like magically like everything reset. Like there's no more bad press of Monsanto. It's weird. I mean, like you could expose these companies, and all they do is change your names.
Okay, so I just got a message from in my inbox saying that John McAfee's official Instagram is now removed too. If I'm correct, his wife was on there. User not found.
What were they putting on there?
Wasn't the last post like a freaking just a big Q?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Yeah,
Big
like
Q.
the, like
It's almost like
fucking
they're.
donut.
It's hilarious.
like
More
fucking
Cyclops.
donuts. Oh my
Yeah, what?
god!
It's hilarious.
Like why? And like
Yeah.
we know it wasn't John himself either. It was clearly someone who ran the account posting a random ass fucking Q. Like really, like those fucks. That little psyop went quiet for a bit. It did, and now it's gonna make a fucking comeback. Thanks, dickheads.
Sure is.
Yeah, when did this come up? At like how quickly after his death?
I'm looking for it now.
Yeah, and I kind of wonder, like, when was the time when he lost control of his own Twitter, or was it like someone he gave the password to that decided to, use his death to promote a bullshit movement?
Oh my god, I think I just figured out how to fix that. Oops.
Yeah,
Let's
so
see.
this is also what I thought. Like,
For fuck's sake.
Am
I'm
I,
looking on a Cassandra Fairbanks' timeline to find this damn post. God damn it. Never ignore that.
Hey, so this is what I also thought was weird, that the Assange defense is like focused on Biden so much. MIM Amazing says John Shipton said they had talks with the Biden administration. I assume they think they can back channel this and achieve more with Honey than his thing. But it was the Biden literally... It was Biden who said that he was a cyber terrorist. And it was his friend Clinton who said, yeah, drone the guy. Right? This is even worse than the Trump administration. It's the same thing as it's the exact same thing as the Trump administration. Right? I mean, this is that is an uphill battle for everlasting uphill battle. Well, you can always try. Okay, fair. But you should do it for publicity and not for
I mean,
actually.
yeah, you gotta be like public about it, and you gotta be kind of like hard ass about it as well, because like we're dealing with some very sadistic fucks here, so they're not gonna listen to kind of like preachings, like nice civil requests in a sense. I'm not saying to get violence at all, but I'm saying you gotta be hard ass about what you're doing here. Like, aim to really expose their hypocrisy when you do this, because they're not gonna help you if you're civil with them.
Yeah, exactly. So his legal team is officially stupid.
No, MIM Amazing says like I don't agree with it, but it's a strategy. They think they can say you are not like Trump, release him. So who knows? I don't think it's supposed to be a message to Biden. You can say like you make the Biden administration look bad too. So it should be a message to the public actually.
Yeah.
Like you put
Oh.
pressure.
I mean, I guess what they're trying to do as well is they're trying to like, they're trying to play on both the dudes' egos. Like with Trump, it was like, oh hey, you should pardon him because WikiLeaks, they released shit on Hillary. Like you want to be anti-deep state, right? So surely you got to do this. And then with Biden, it's like, hey dude, I thought you didn't want to be Trump. Why are you still continuing his war on press freedom? And so, yeah, I think it's just trying to reach them. So, I mean, I can get that.
Yeah, you would aim it at the people who are like the Biden supporters who want to be the opposite of Trump. And since Trump didn't pardon Assange, his supporters might appreciate it if he pardons Assange. Like, yeah, you would think like that, but in the end, we realize it's the same party, it's the same group.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
And how does a pardon work? Like if like I never understood the idea of a pardon. Like if I was president and I had you go out and like kill my enemies, and then you go to jail, then I could be like, I pardon you, right? Like where is the limit of a fucking pardon? Like you could pardon like Hitler if he was still alive.
Yeah, well, I do think like the start in like battling these psyops is actually realizing, and this might come as a shock, is that Biden actually plays golf with Trump and they're best buddies. Just think about it like that.
Oh, no way, Mark! You're serious?
The reality is
Oh
that
my
they're all
God.
best friends and all best buddies, and it's all just garbage. And
Of course, they are like,
Yeah.
as Steve says, the predator class.
yeah, they're gaining a bunch of influence, and they're putting on a show. It's a big show for the people. And what people need to realize is the more you pay attention to it, the more you care about it, the deeper rooted you are with the Cyclops, man. I'm telling you, bro. Like, you just gotta ignore it. You know what I mean? Like, don't even pay attention to it, because none of it fucking matters. The questions, the answers, you know what I mean? None of it fucking matters. Not even a little bit. And the less you pay
It's funny,
attention
though.
to it, the more you'll actually see. You'd be surprised.
There's so much faith. Sorry.
No, you're fine, man.
Oh, there's so much faith in like even now, like more and more people know what the CIA did, like Vietnam and all these other things. Like it's even my coworkers, they're like, yeah, the CIA is shady, but like there's still like this trust in the CIA to do the right thing. So like we trust them when they're talking about the Uyghurs,
That's
or we
because
trust them.
people they like to, like we were discussing earlier. They're like, well, there's some good people in there, but the reality of the thing is that because they like to try and pay. That's what I was talking about just a second ago. They pay attention to too much of the information that's provided, like it really fucking matters. And there's one simple fact you need to realize about the matter, is that they're corrupt garbage, and nothing else matters. There's no need to ask questions. There's no need to worry about answers to things that don't exist. You know what I mean? All because there's so much misinformation and so much garbage and so much conspiratorial nonsense. Who gives a shit? You can clearly see without having to ask too many questions. And the problem is people tend to keep asking question after question after question, and then that's when they become discombobulated. And then that's whenever they fall for the psyops of misinformation, and they go down these bullshit rabbit holes. That's what happens.
Yeah.
And it's a bunch of garbage. Gives a shit.
Yeah.
The Fed
and you also
is corrupt garbage. It's plain and simple. You don't need you don't need to worry about anything else.
Yeah, and you also see the same thing with like this pandemic. Like people trusted their doctors who hid other treatments from them because they were told not to, right? But let's say you were hushed, right, and you couldn't talk about it, right? You would say to them like, "Hey, maybe you should go on the internet and look something up. And then come to me later." Like the doctor can't tell you to take it, but he can kind of hint you to go and look it up yourself, right? But they didn't do that. They just went and followed orders. They followed orders of Fauci or whatever, and now we're in this mess because everyone is following orders, and it reminds me of Nazi Germany.
Yeah, well, if you look at
I'm
it,
sorry, I was just reading the chat.
I know you were laughing about that. Well, you no, when Jack mentioned that the whole Cyclops thing, if you say like this, there's an eye at the top of the pyramid, right? You realize that these Biden and Trump and these people are just a part of like a higher step in this pyramid, like not the highest step, but they're like this little like step above us, selected.
Yep.
Yeah,
Select few actors, garbage. Like all you need to worry about is the fact that it's all garbage. You don't need to ask anything else or worry about anything else. It's like
Yeah.
crap.
but it becomes pretty obvious, right? When it's like George
Yeah.
Bush is president, and then his son is president. You already know
Yeah,
it.
like that's some bullshit.
You have 300.
After he was the CIA director, after he was the fucking CIA director.
We have
Notice,
350
like, and then notice, like, when Obama was in office, okay, this is how stupid this shit is, okay? There was all this misinformation about, is he really black? You know what I mean? And stuff like this. Or is he really this? Or is he
Distraction.
really that? Where, yeah, it's just distraction. It's bullshit. And who cares? And as soon as there is even a hint of too many questions, that is when you should automatically assume that it is psyops. I'm telling you. As soon as there's too many questions with too little answers and a lot of confusion, instantaneously think psyops.
Yeah.
Fucking.
Hey,
with
well,
Cyclops.
you know what else? You know what question starts with? A Q.
Yes, ma'am. Oh my god! You didn't just do that. You really didn't just do that.
I mean,
Oh,
like,
that's funny.
I mean, like, I'm starting to see that the systems that we have, like our politics, we asked for it. Like, we basically were shown corruption from like the beginning, and we naively followed, right?
Yeah.
And the same thing with the medical industry. Like, they totally like, what
It's all
did they
bullshit.
cure anything? They didn't
No.
cure shit in the last like 30 years, and yet we trust in them. And I don't know. Like, I
It's
feel like
almost
we got.
it's almost like science doesn't matter anymore. You know, like practical
Yeah, no.
science anyway.
I feel
It's all
like people.
consensus-based bullshit.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
they are not conquering the people. The people do this with, they're consenting to this,
Yeah.
right?
That
The
is
people-
the best type of enslavement is when you ask for it with a smile and
Yeah.
a piss in your cereal.
Yeah, but I mean, like, does that means that people aren't thinking for themselves anymore?
No
Like, you know,
shit.
and like, yeah, I mean, like 1984, Brave New World. Like, you got these people are chemically or just psychologically like tortured into a condition of being like a pet of like
Well, it's just
these
the thing.
parties.
It's so easy to do with this technology now, because you know back in the Roman times they had to do it through stuff like, or even like medieval times, for example, they did it through the torture. You know what I mean? That shit was scary as fuck. You know, you do what the fuck you're told, or you get fucking. They saw it every day. And in the Roman times, they did it through the bread in the circus. You know what I mean? Which we still have the bread in the circus. It's always the bread in the circus. The bread in the circus today is the little TV box that's got a bunch of talking heads all day that never shut the fuck up about a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah, and football and baseball, and my team is better than your
Baseball,
team.
Yeah. So people are always just worried about bullshit. Constantly. Never ends. Worried about sports. Which, I mean, I respect and understand wanting to watch sports. You know what I mean? But you shouldn't make it your entire personality. You know what I
By
mean?
the way,
Yeah.
the Roman.
But you can't transfer the energy that you put into sports into like politics because
yes,
then
which
it
people do.
yeah, which is dumb.
It's dumb shit. Like, they have to have
Yeah,
an
so-
IQ of like 50.
You know, the Romans also did something that we're doing now, which is like at some point, like the people in the empire, they like didn't want to fight the wars. So what they did is they got mercenaries, and that's what we have. Afghanistan is mercenary war, and all these. It's funny. It's funny. You're right. Roman Empire 5. I forget who said that.
It's just all bullshit, though.
Oh yeah,
Like, it all
like
is.
Roman Empire V5.
V5. Yeah.
And you know what happens when you stick your nose in bullshit? You smell nothing but bullshit.
5D chess.
Right.
Well, the thing is, most people are in the bullshit, and they're going like, "What? You don't smell roses?"
You know what made the Roman Empire really successful was not that destroyed like the local cultures. They took them over as their own.
Yeah,
Like-
which is what America does, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. And
Like
they're-
everybody needs to speak English. Everybody should be Christian. Be a Christian.
yeah, yeah. And they make like the American way of life like the thing in the country they conquer, and for the rest they keep everything. They embed everything into their own culture.
Oh.
Like the Romans, the Romans when they
Spreading
conquered.
democracy.
Well, the Romans when they conquered Greece, they took over the Greek gods, right? And when they conquered Europe in the north and stuff, they didn't remove their holy places. They embedded these things in as their own. And you had the Holy Roman Empire put the churches on the worship places of worship of the tribes.
Yeah, and you know, it was the last
Yeah,
religion that they adopted.
Yeah, well, that literally goes back to like even pre-Christianity when they had like the ancient Mesopotamian religions. Like when Babylon would go around conquering like these individual city-states, they would release the patron god of that city with Marduk, which was their god. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know what's funny? Like when you look at like I have a lot of coworkers from the global south, right? And Colombia, for example, the ones who came from like the upper class in Colombia, they're very pro-American. They're like, yeah, America came to Colombia, cleaned house. But the ones who were like working class, like native kind of Colombians that came to the United States that I work with, they're like, no, the United States is fucked up. Like they're tearing our country apart. They're stealing our resources and all that, right? So I feel like that Roman Empire was only successful as long as they could keep like a middle class, like an upper middle class, happy. Once they're not happy, once they get robbed and turned into mindless zombies or whatever, slaves, I think that's when the system falls apart.
Well, people need to realize a bit how many they actually are. Like, they can only rule if you consent to this. Like, you have 350 million Americans. You have a government that is tiny compared to
That
the
is
actual
true.
population.
Yeah.
Well, and not to
In-
mention, Red Economics in the chat brought up a good point. They control the flow of information, why slaves weren't allowed to read, why our education system is shite. So,
Yeah, but why are they
yeah.
so obsessed with controlling the information? Because if they know if the people get real information, they're not going to keep them under control.
Yeah,
I
and
believe
they
that too. And the thing is, they also need to be aware of what misinformation is and what it looks like and how it is.
They
Otherwise,
need to know how to research and
yes,
verify shit for themselves.
exactly. Because the very second you start giving them some real information, but they're still in this cloud. You know what I mean? They're in this cloud, okay. And then the very second they get some real information, they start to slowly drift out of the cloud. You know what I mean? And the next second they see some shit in the news, boom, they're right back in it. That's the problem.
yeah. You
Yeah.
know what's funny? So, people from like USSR, Eastern Europe, they knew that like the news was bullshit. Here, like you still have most of the population that still thinks there's competition, like there's meritocracy. Like these people are rich because they did a good job.
My French friend actually says that he notices the big problem. He's actually a pretty famous journalist in France. I met him whenever I created a militia one time. But he said that the news in America isn't real news because he says that in Europe, he says that they broadcast like the news that happens all over the place. You know what I mean? That's what he told me. But in America, the only thing you see is what's going on in America. Like it's like all that exists to Americans is America. And America is great, and America's this, and America's freedom, and America's real education. America has a good health system, when the reality is a bunch of bullshit. They also say that we have a great working economy, but when the reality is that most people in America are on food stamps, and they wouldn't survive without those food stamps.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
we have a great fueling running economy, but we got all these people on food stamps. It's kind of funny.
But you know what? That whole thing with the American dream is really weird. It's like, it's almost like a slave mentality, which is like, if you're not successful, you're not working hard enough. So look at Jeff Bezos. He worked really hard. He put his hours in, and now he's a billionaire, and you could be like him. And the people, until they wake up to this... Yeah, until they wake up to this bullshit of like fucking meritocracy, like as if these people were the best in their field. That's why they're billionaires.
When
No,
the
it's not
reality is
dancing with.
most of them are dumb as shit, to be honest.
Yeah, Elon Musk does not know a single fucking thing about space. Like he was
He
talking about
doesn't.
solar.
He's not a scientist. He doesn't know anything about
He's such
science.
a dumbass.
He's a snake in the grass, bro. He doesn't know anything about science. And the biggest problem I find with this whole little boy dream of going to Mars and shit. You know how difficult it actually is to leave the atmosphere of the Earth. You know that is the
Oh.
biggest problem that we have. It's very difficult and it's not easy to do. Each time they do it, real scientists call it a miracle. Every time we're able to escape the
No,
atmosphere,
there's
because of
even
how much perfect math is entailed in getting it
Yeah.
to work. You have to get the math down perfectly. I've studied this, by the way, so I know this. You have to get the math perfectly. You can only have a certain amount of storage, and it all has to be calculated perfectly. The fuel count has to be calculated perfectly, so on and so forth. It's because our space tech is not even, it's barely just good enough to leave our
Yep.
own atmosphere. You know what I
That's
mean?
why-
When it's to carry people on, at least. I'd say our space tech for like satellites and stuff, it's pretty good because we get out there pretty far. But like to take people and put them into space, we are centuries and centuries behind doing that. So his
Yeah.
whole thing about going to Mars and shit, it's just a show. It's garbage.
Yeah, no, and like even going to the moon, like I used to believe
It's
in the
very-
moon landing, but like when to go past a certain distance from the Earth's whatever magnetic field, the radiation is like huge, right? You're like basically in a
Yes,
nuclear.
You can't
Yeah.
go out into space. People don't.
Yeah, and they
realize
never.
that. That's
they
why
never-
actually. That's why. What's his face? He got cancer.
Who?
Neil Armstrong. He got cancer.
Oh, he did. Wow.
Yeah, he got cancer from going to space.
But the thing is, why haven't more people got cancer when they had like 13 Apollo missions or whatever? And the thing is, that radiation that you get
They
out,
don't go they don't go onto the surface of the moon.
but the radiation you get out there is enough. Like a Fukushima worker, right? Like the people that were in Fukushima when they were working and didn't have protection at first, most of them died. Most of them. But when it comes to our
Humans are not going to
astronauts,
be able to do space travel. Is what people don't.
yeah, no, I'm just saying that like
There's
even
endless particles of
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
radiation hitting you. You can't
Yeah, but-
travel through space. Easily.
No, my point is that like even though Neil Armstrong got cancer, I really doubt that they all went over there to the moon where the radiation is like insane, and they had to like fucking tinfoil shielding. And nowadays, when they talk about going to the moon, they're like, "Oh, we're working on it." Didn't you have the technology in the '60s to do it? Like, what happened to that?
They never send people back to the moon.
I know, it's a big fucking hoax.
Well, I think they originally did land on the moon, but I think the reason they don't go
How?
back is because it's just bad.
Okay, so you know the radiation is high there. I was
Yeah.
just saying that, like,
How
if you
Neil
get
Armstrong got
exposed,
it. That's how he got cancer.
yeah, but I'm saying, why didn't anyone else die? Like, if you count the radiation that you would get out there, I forget how many, whatever, it would be equal to like standing next to a freaking reactor, right? Like in Fukushima, these guys, they all, not all, but a lot of them died.
I
The
just
first
don't see the
responders.
point I don't see the point in faking going to the moon. It's a waste of time.
It's actually one of those things that they used against the Russians to say we were more advanced. See what I mean? Like our black ops. Like remember when we had the F-35 jet being developed? We were saying all this crazy shit about it, like it was going to be the best thing in the world. And guess what? It's a dud. So we have a military, we have corporations, we have the government.
It just seems like a lot of work just to fake going.
They're
to the
all
moon.
fucking liars.
It just
Who
seems
knows?
like a waste of time.
So then, how do you survive in radiation? How? How did the other guys survive? That's what I'm wondering about. Like,
Maybe they
I mean,
did have
they-
some sort of protection on them, but like it wasn't enough. That's possible.
Well, if you
I don't
look-
know the
if you
exact
look-
details.
Depends on the type of radiation.
Yeah.
Maybe they're eating iodine pills
Yeah.
the whole travel. I mean,
That's what I was saying too. There's ways
No.
that they could have survived it, but like in the end, like Neil
I'm
Armstrong
saying-
got cancer from going to the moon. That's what they say.
everyone else didn't. That's what I'm saying. Like they're being bombarded out there. Yes, you could take iodine. Yeah,
All I know is I saw and read about Neil
physics.
Armstrong. I mean, maybe the others did too. I didn't ever Google it. Who else went to the moon?
No. His team, I think there was like 3 people or 4. They were the ones that were like the biggest interviewed because they were the first, right? Something like that. Whatever.
Buzz Aldrin,
even-
Pete Conrad, and Alan B.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying that like the shielding required to protect you from that radiation is thicker than like when you go to the dentist and you have to wear that thing for X-rays. You know when they put that on you? That's because the X-ray it's not even that much radiation, but they want to protect you because high risk of cancer if you don't have that, right? They have to shield the room. Like my dentist's office, the walls are lined with lead. How did they do that on a thing that didn't have lead because of the weight? Like you said it earlier, for them to go up in the atmosphere, it's like they're barely treading thin, right, to get out there.
They're barely.
How did they do it?
They even
Yeah.
just barely give them enough fuel to make it out of the atmosphere, and that's all they get.
Exactly. So, I mean, like, I don't know. And they can't do it now. Isn't that weird, right? Wouldn't that be, like, the biggest thing to go to the moon right now?
I mean, we have a space station.
Or China. China would try to do it, probably, right?
I think there's a damn good reason. I'm not going to argue whether like they actually did go to the moon or if they didn't go to the moon. But let's just hypothetically speaking say they did go to the moon. I feel like there's a damn good reason that they're not going back. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, all of that is created
Mars.
to build a military industrial complex, right? And now they're building the commercial military industrial complex with the commercial parties involved, and there needs to be a victory, right? And that is like you set a goal, and then you make that. Then with that goal in mind, you make sure as much money as needed is being pushed to it. So you say like we go to Mars, probably maybe in 50 years they will or something, but until then you have an excuse to pull as much money in as you want until that goal is reached.
Which will never be.
And the goal is that surveillance satellite system. Like they want to put more and more satellites up there, and some of them they want to be. You ever hear of this weapon? It drops like a heavy rod, and you could drop that rod, and by the time it hits the Earth, it's almost like a mini nuclear bomb.
Yeah, but I mean, like, why is Elon Musk now the richest guy in the world? I think he surpassed Bezos by now. Like, I mean, why is he now the richest guy? And that all coincides with the fact that they're building this new commercial industrial complex. And he's one of the figures in it because he's doing that rocket stuff for them. And at the same time, he's pushing that whole lithium harvesting in all the poor countries, pushing electric cars everywhere. It's like they need this long-term goal, and you always need a long-term goal to have an excuse to push. It's like, it doesn't really matter if they go there.
You know what makes me laugh is that like in the 60s and stuff when we went to the moon or supposedly whatever, back then it was NASA. It was like a nationalized thing that relied on military contractors to build their jet, right? Their space shuttle and all these things, right? But now you have where the private company is the one that's taking all the credit for going to, whatever, SpaceX, rocket, so-and-so, when they would never have done that in the 60s. They would never say that it's a Lockheed Martin, whatever, jet. Like, they wouldn't give them credit for it. They would say NASA did it. But today, it's some private guy did it. So it's almost like they've steered the idea of all this space travel and stuff like that to be like a globalist thing already.
Well, I mean, if you go back to the whole science thing we mentioned, that the goal is actually the extradition is not really the goal. The process is the goal, right? And this process, the end goal is not actually to go to Mars, but it's about the process to lure as much money as possible in. And the process keeps us going. This is the psyops thing. Like, everyone...
Why is it always working with the Cyclops, man?
Yeah. It's again the Cyclops. Like, The people need to be, they need this goal in mind, right? Yeah, we want to be in Mars, this whole new society and everything.
They need to be rocked like a baby, is what they. So that's why they just do as they're told.
Yeah, and this psyop might not be even aimed at the poor, like all of us. It might be aimed at like the richest, who can imagine that if they push enough money in it, they can do it. Like the scientists and richest people in the world who are actually looking at Mars as new real estate, right? So yeah.
It's a bunch of garbage, though, bro.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
But if you develop it, there could be like huge houses.
Yeah, there's a huge if there.
Yeah.
You know.
But they can imagine it.
The
I'm
whole
sure you
Mars
could.
thing. The whole Mars thing, they didn't even account for that. Like Mars, okay, so like it's a big planet, like not as big as Earth, right? But it has no magnetic core. Like we have iron for our core. The magnetic core
it has no magnetic field either.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
if you don't have a magnetic core, you don't pick up the magnetic, whatever you call it, energy from the sun, which also shields you. It's like one of those weird things where
Yeah, well,
the sun,
that repels all the solar flares and shit coming from the sun. That
Yeah.
can kill you.
It repels all the
Mars-
radiation. So living on Mars is impossible.
underground.
You'd have to live
The
underground.
only
yeah.
thing, yeah, and that's the thing. Like, what the hell are they going to be selling on Mars? Like, do they
What the hell
think
is the
like
point?
Mars? Yeah, and how
It's
many
stupid.
months would it take? It would take like 6 months or something like that to get there, or
Yeah,
more.
and you're gonna get 6 months on a spaceship just to go right underground. Sounds so much fun. 6 months on a spaceship, you go underground, and when the reality is, we should just do greener things on our own planet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, because there's so much. People don't realize how much energy there is around us. Actually, free energy, in fact. It's all around us. The ocean, water, because water is inexhaustible. It'll always be replaced. You know this from the law of conservation. Nothing can not exist anymore. It can't just disappear. It only changes. So water, it's inexhaustible. As far as we know, salt, it's inexhaustible. The earth will continuously and constantly generate salt. And these things could be used for energy. Wind energy, it's inexhaustible. It'll never stop blowing. You know what I mean? The wind's never just going to disappear. And
But the
we'll
problem
get
is-
solar energy as long as the sun doesn't explode. You know,
But the
Isn't
thing
for
is,
another couple billion years at least.
exactly.
yeah. But the thing is, what I kind of like nowadays, they're pushing the whole UFO thing. Like, where is this free energy that they claim that these spaceships can use? Where does that come from? It comes from physics, right?
Yeah.
We don't know. We don't know if that is real or it's a psyop where they're
I
trying to make us believe. Who knows?
I try to stay
Project
away from-
Bluebeam.
I try to stay away from the alien stuff, to be honest.
Yeah. I mean, like, there's nothing solid, right? So
Yeah, I
you
know,
can't
so-
really. Yeah, It's
That's
like-
why I
it's like-
stay away from it. I don't really.
it's like
see-
you ever. Sorry.
No,
See-
you're fine. Go ahead.
Okay. It's
Let
like you
Lovey
ever
go.
seen
I want to hear
the.
what Lovey says.
Sure.
No, I wanted to answer to a question in the chat. So you guys go first.
Okay.
No, it's okay. Do the question.
Yeah, no, I mean, MIM Amazing says maybe they made a deal with Russia in exchange for technology. I actually want to point at the previous arms competition, right, with the moon landing and everything, and that had to do with building up the military-industrial complex, and that had to do with faking the enemy of Russia. Like, well, in reality, in Russia, they had the exact same story of faking the enemy of
Oh.
America.
Really?
And at the same time, they said like,
Yeah.
America at any day now, America can fire nuclear weapons at us, right? That's the exact same story, and
It is the exact
Yeah.
same story. It's almost like they're completely fucking with the Cyclops again. You know?
Yeah.
Damn, how much they fuck with this guy, bro?
yeah. So what they did is,
Even this, like, how do.
we have a little delay. I'm sorry, but so what they did was that they used that excuse to build up their defense, their arms. And they reduced their human rights. They created this whole surveillance system over their own people, saying like, we have to surveil everyone because otherwise the Americans might get in, right? Or the Russians might get in.
Spies.
Yeah, the spies. Yeah.
when the reality is the only enemies that exist are figments of the imagination created by the puppet master.
Yeah, you had
Yeah.
projects like
Show.
Operation Mockingbird taking control of the media because you had to make the propaganda machine to defeat Russian propaganda, or any other way around too. You had to always say America has the best missiles, America is the first to the moon, we have the most nuclear weapons, right? We are the richest country, Hollywood is better than them, right? You have to repeat that constantly.
Yeah, and you know what it does?
Record, and it drives me crazy.
You know what it does? It drives a lot of money away from like social programs into like technology, right? So like now the big thing is AI, right? Because China's gonna have this AI and we need to have this AI. Never mind, they don't know what the fuck AI is because they're not self-aware. They're crazy. We have this whole like constant competition, and you know what's funny? Companies do this where you work for a company and they're like, oh, this bank is doing better than us, guys, you have to work harder. See what I mean? Like it's like competing among slaves, groups of slaves, like, oh, we gotta do better, and like, does this technology do anything to make your life better? Nope.
Well, you can defeat the psyop, like, okay, so that example of Russia versus America in the Cold War, you can pretty much prove what we're saying like right now, that they were never really at war, and that is the fact that during the entire Cold War, the oil and gas from Russia never stopped flowing to Europe. It always kept on flowing, and the European countries were part of NATO. So yeah, they would never have even been able to drive a tank into Russia without the Russian oil and gas. So that's the thing.
You know what's funny? We had this drama in the last decade, I think, where Bulgaria was supposed to have a gas pipeline, and then NATO like influenced them, and Russia had to build another pipeline, and then they got shut down. I forget where. And then now Biden is like, okay, we're going to lift the sanctions on the pipeline. So now they're going to be able to do Nord Stream 2, right?
Yeah.
But like, why did you spend all this time blocking Russian pipelines in your NATO countries and then fold? Like, why did you fold?
But and you know, that when you're talking about Nord Stream 2, right? Well, you know that Nord Stream 2 is being built. Like, there's a Russian oil pipeline, Nord Stream 2 being built to Germany, while the Americans supposedly put up a rocket shield in Poland against Russia. Like, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make any sense.
It fucking sense at all, bro. It sounds like a jar of garbage, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah. You ever play that game Civilization? You ever play that game Civilization with the different countries? Yeah, you know what it reminds me of? It's like two 5-year-olds playing against each other.
Yeah, but this game is played against us, not against each other.
Yeah.
That's the thing. They're playing it against us, and they're the same authoritarians. They're the same people.
Yeah, I mean, when I played that game when I was young, I didn't give a shit. Like, I was like, yeah, let's freaking blow up this whole area. But, like, I became an adult, and I realized that's not how you do things. That's it. But I don't know, like, are these people like actually still deranged in that they think like this is the way that the world works? Like, destroy people so your people can be better? I don't know. It's and the populace just follows them. Isn't that fucking weird, right? People like trust in genocidal former, like Bush, right? Obama was saying like, Bush, follow the rule of law. I'm like, what?
And there's all kinds of economical benefits. Like you're if you create like all this disharmony and stuff, you can always make these weird claims. Like you can make the oil price go up and down whenever you want, right? You just have to say like Russia is about to attack, right? But and the oil price changes, and you can completely control the economic.
That's the one thing that Elon Musk did with crypto, right? Like he jumped into crypto, he pumped it up and all that stuff, and then he jumped out, and he made a bunch of money.
Yeah, and if you keep pushing this propaganda, and you can put your investments into it. It's like you invest in it, and exactly at the right moments, and you will be able to completely control the market because you push the news. So yeah, like literally, you have these super big institutional investors that supposedly, before anything happens, already have their money put in it.
You know what someone said that was really interesting? He said, of all these past issues that society had, like big fucking wars, even, the stock market always reacted and it dropped, right? And there was panic. But with COVID and the lockdowns never ending, somehow Wall Street kept going up and up and up. So like for some reason, like nowadays, like they don't even have to pretend like they're in hard times. They don't have to go like, oh, we're suffering too. They just fucking keep making money.
Yeah.
And the people eat it up. It's very, 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 very dystopian.
Yeah, you have the fear thing being pushed on people, and they will accept a lot from their leaders, as long as they're scared. At the same time, the leaders, the supposed leaders, are scared to lose their power, and that's why they're so good at projecting fear on others, because it's what they live on themselves. So the people are actually in control, right? I mean, if you have, like I said, if you have 350 million Americans, you can take Washington tomorrow if you want to, but you're not doing it because you're consenting to their leadership, and they know that you can take Washington tomorrow. You have to understand that. They know that. They're perfectly aware that if one of you decides to do it, it's be over in a week. The American army is not going to shoot 350 million Americans. Simple.
Yeah, but as long as Americans think that like America has to control the world to survive and become prosperous, we will never have a society that, like, even during COVID, right? Like during COVID, they were doing stuff in Syria. Like they can't stop because of a pandemic. They need to continue the fucking war.
Well,
Yeah, is it? Bealey said that. Vanessa Bealey. She's like, this whole COVID thing you're talking about is real and all this shit, but you're still continuing a war that could spread more. It's like they're so fucking they're such bad liars nowadays.
But you need to
Because the
also
people are.
move beyond this psychological trigger of thinking that these people are actually more powerful than you, because you have to think about it like this. A guy like Bill Gates, or even like a Rothschild or something, could a guy like that even visit a bar without security? These people live in total fear. No, their stuff would be stolen, right? Or they would be.
They have the more fear than anybody on the planet.
And that's why they. That's why they
Fear
understand.
leads to the dark side.
No, but that.
Scared
Yeah.
to die, scared to be beaten, scared of everything.
Yeah, but that is why it is so easy for them to deal with fear, to use fear on others. They understand the concept of fear, and they know how to use it. They utilize it.
People who know fear the best are the best at it, isn't that right?
Because
Lonnie?
Exactly.
I get what you mean, because they live in fear, so that's why they're so good at communicating it.
Exactly.
They were
Yeah.
born in it, in fact.
And that actually makes a lot of sense, because that thing where people are okay with being in terror, and the conspiracy people now are saying like, no, there is no pandemic. Just, take your vitamins, eat your food, don't trust doctors, whatever. And they look at you like you're the crazy one because you should be the one that's fearing things. So they got humanity to the point where they got, like, normally, people don't want to hear that JFK was assassinated by the CIA or whatever, because that's a negative thought. But now the conspiracy is a positive thought. We can stop world hunger. COVID is a fucking scandemic, whatever, right? People still want to believe the dark, whatever you call it, black future, because for some reason they believe in this central authority that's got to save them. I don't know. It's almost like religion. Like, you're doomed. Humanity is doomed unless you follow the God of science.
Which is an actual science. It's consensus-based bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's what it is. They are good at projecting their own behavior on others, and that's why they are so good at it. And
That's why they're good at fucking with that Cyclops,
yeah,
Because they were born in it, bred in it, their families existed in fear for centuries.
Yeah, well,
Fear, so much fear, in fact, that they married in their own family and interbred. Like
exactly, exactly. That's how much fear they have.
that's how much fear they have. That's how disgusting these people are. Actually, that
Yeah,
they would
Yeah.
marry each other just to save their money.
yeah.
All for money, all out of fear. It's just
You know-
Habsburgs
And,
have fucking chronic blood diseases because of that shit.
Yeah, but this is what they adapted to create large masses, and you can look at it in India, for example. They had the caste system, and you had all these different levels of people. Like the lowest one was like the untouchables, like the super low class. But sometimes these people would rise up, right? And what you would do is you would ask the little higher class, a class one step higher, to keep them under control, because and you only did it by telling them that if they didn't, they would lose their benefits over the other, right? So you kept you're
The
using
proposed, the Stanford person experiment, all that shit.
yeah.
Yeah, actually, that's a shit from Brave New World where you had the alpha, beta, delta, and gamma class.
But it's
The
really
gamma
being
class.
used. In India, it was really used, and they had like a whole pyramid system of different classes, and there were huge groups in these classes. It wasn't like a tiny little group in the class one step higher than the lowest one. No, it was a huge group, and you would always say like, use this group is going to fight the lowest class because they're going to lose their rights if not, right? And
Yeah.
so
And you know what I don't understand about Indian culture? Like, so the Hindus believe in the reincarnation and the caste system, and Gandhi was saying, basically speaking about freedom, like equal freedom, and they still latch on to this caste system and they still follow it.
Yeah, and keep in mind, India is a country with 1 billion people, right? And that is, we're talking worldwide about 7 billion. So it works on 1 billion, it will work on 7 billion too.
Yeah, and you know, there's a common thing between reincarnation and the American dream. In the American dream, it's like if you work hard enough, you might become a billionaire, right? So you have like a promise, a possible reward. In reincarnation, you have the same thing. Like, well, you're an untouchable, you're a slave or whatever, indentured servant. That's okay because the next time you're going to be born a king or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, and what Jack said is actually hitting the point that they were so scared that they would even like interbreed with each other.
disgusting.
That's how scared they actually are.
though, nowadays it's different because, like Bill Gates, for example, like Melinda, I don't believe that they were actually even interested in each other. Because I remember when I heard about him and her way back, it was like on PBS interview of him, and he said, "Well, I met her and blah 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 at the Microsoft offices, and we used to have dates on the phone. I would go to see a movie, and she would go to see a movie, and we would talk about it, and it discontinued for like years, and like that was a romance, story. But like now we hear like she divorced him because he was with Epstein, but he was with Epstein for like at least a decade, right? So how did she not know this?
I don't even want to know
Yeah.
what's going on there.
But I think what she was an arranged marriage. Like she was probably like, oh, we need a woman that looks like this and has connections and has good family. It's like a royalty thing. You see these like rich people, like really fucking, even Jeff Bezos, he divorces his wife. Like, okay, but like we don't even know if you guys actually cared about each other. Like, are these people that like shallow that they just marry anyone based on like their career goals? Melinda knew. She knew about fucking Epstein.
You know, what else I find that I feel like they fear more than anything? You know why they probably fear death so much?
Oh yeah, they want to be
fear
immortal.
death more than anything. That's why they want to be immortal so much. For example, why what's his face, the snake in the grass, Elon is working on that. What's it called? The nerve tech. What is it?
Yeah. That chip in your head, right? That controls.
Yeah. It's almost as if they fear the sin that they hold in their blood's family so much that they're scared to die because they don't know what comes next. Like
Yeah, so
what hellscape awaits them at death because of all this sin. It's like they have like
Yeah,
black
like
blood. It's like, they've committed so many atrocities across human history. They
Yeah.
can't hold the weight any longer.
I'm not religious, but I hope it's really bad for them.
I'm not religious
you know-
either.
you know what I kind of think in a different way, like when I look at like these tech guys like Ray Kurzweil, who believes in like the singularity and he's going to be able to download himself. I believe like these people, yeah, they're kind of like deluded as if they're special. Like when I die, I'm gone. Like I'm an agnostic, right? I don't know if there's God, but maybe I'm gone.
Too.
Yeah, like maybe I'm gone. Maybe I disappear. You know what? Nothing lost. No big deal. Like I had a good life. But these people feel like they're special. They feel like they're a gift to humanity or something like that, right?
So they need to live on forever, furthering their sin.
Yeah, but they're so clueless because this is where nowadays, like TLAV, they're talking about the microchips and all that crap. And they're saying like 10 years ago they had smart dust and they had these tiny little microchips and all this stuff, right? Okay, so if they had these microchips 10 years ago, why haven't they figured out shit yet for these rich people? Like, why isn't, like, it's weird. It's kind of weird. Like, why are they still kind of like selling the story like that they're going to come up with this technology where you could download yourself onto a fucking backup and when you die, you live forever, whatever it is. Because I think that they can't actually do the technology, so now they're just kind of like, let's use people to try to figure out how we can do it. But they claim that they've done it before, but I don't think they have.
So full of shit.
Yeah, I think they're bragging of something that they haven't done yet. Like, like the kid in school who says he got the Nintendo 64 5 months before it came out. They're bullshitters.
So much bullshit in their brains, they probably believe it themselves.
Yeah. Actually, in the study of psychopaths, they can put them on a lie detector, and like a psychopath could be actually telling a lie to cover his story, and it would show that he's telling the truth. So like they're able to change the way that they see reality to make it feel like they actually are telling the truth, and that's why they're so convincing. Pretty scary, right?
Sounds scary. Scare everything else. But things annoy me, like that, for example.
You mean the how crazy they are?
Yeah, and just all the shit that they do. It's kind of like in Discord, because Discord's a big old nut house. Is exactly what they are. You literally take Discord and paint a picture of it, and it's very similar to how their lives are. Don't feed the loons. You see what happens when you feed the loons? That's who's up at the top right now. At least what they think.
Oh yeah, I gotta post a video on here with this German guy. It was a documentary called LSD and the Unabomber or something like that. And this German guy came on and he was talking about how these scientists are inventing things that don't exist because of the mathematics. They're trying to find like the answer to life. Like you ever see Monty Python, Meaning of Life?
No, I've heard of it though.
Oh, it's good. The joke is like we all try to find the meaning of life, so we keep inventing all these reasons, like religion, and then we have science and all this shit. I gotta find the video. I'm gonna look it up.
I love Monty Python.
I do too.
What's your favorite?
No one can expect the Spanish Inquisition.
It's just a flesh wound.
Oh, I've
Tis
seen
but a
that one. What's it
scratch.
called?
Have you guys seen the Hitchhiker's Guide, like the original BBC series?
No, I haven't. I've seen
No.
it.
Oh, it's so much better than the movie. It's just like basically where we're headed, like this fucking technocracy where nothing fucking matters.
Damn.
I
All right.
think it's already headed that way, though.
Yeah.
Won't be bad. Don't worry about
Oh,
it. Enjoy the ride, man.
Hey, we need to mention the other subjects.
What subject?
what other? Bring it up.
Oh, have we? I think we still need to give some updates on X here.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see, what was, gotta scroll down to find them. We talked with, Jay Rorty, who's the lawyer currently assigned to defend Commander X. He's reached out to, Amnesty, and also he tried to have a meeting with X, not yesterday, but, Tuesday morning or Monday or Tuesday morning. Tried to have a meeting with X. The video failed, but he said that it seemed like he looked okay and wasn't suffering too much. And then, he's also, Commander X is also currently scheduled to appear before court, in court before Judge Freeman in the San Jose District Court at 9 a.m. Pacific time on July 20th. So hopefully we can drum up a lot of support for him by then. And I think that's going to be via video conference as well. The link is on @FreeCommanderX_ on Twitter. And yeah, there you can also find the links for how to send X money directly through the jail. But the old fundraiser from Friends of X, that's the one that we're currently using as a GoFundMe, kind of yeeted our old fundraiser.
Did they ever find out if like Mexico sold them out, or it was like a covert op?
I mean, we have, like, I don't know where they are now, but I mean, we have like his green card, which says his status as a humanitarian refugee, and then there's also and then we also have proof of his asylum, and specifically his application for asylum, which states that during the asylum process, the Mexican government can't take actions to return him to the U.S. or even let U.S. authorities know. So, I mean, I don't know exactly how it was done, or like exactly like what backroom deals went on that sold him out, but yeah, Mexican government violated his status as a humanitarian refugee and his asylum.
What does he think, though? That he himself, does he think he was sold out, or he thinks it's like something else?
He said that I think X thinks that he was sold out. He said he was illegally renditioned from Mexico. So that kind of implicates the Mexican government in that as well. And yeah. But
And then they
that's
said
kind of the only thoughts directly from X we have regarding that.
And then they said that they made him sign papers, but the thing is, like, I don't know, like, why would you sign them if you don't know what the fuck they're about?
I honestly don't know.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
That's
like,
all we have from, yeah. But
I mean,
yeah.
they could have like tortured him to sign them. I understand, but like, what the fuck papers you gotta sign to? Like, if you know what I mean, right? Like, the police tell you like you're resisting arrest, and you're like, no, you got me handcuffed. What else do you want me to do?
And like I said, I have no clue. So,
Yeah,
I'm
I
just
mean,
gonna
like,
claim that and not really try to speak for X in that sentence. But I mean, we're trying to reach out to him as well, and we're also trying to figure out kind of,
his legal team.
shit. Well,
Oh,
I
did
mean, as
Steve,
of
did Steve
what?
get to meet with the lawyer?
No, he didn't. And because
Weird.
he was actually just in Denver. Um, Speaking of another thing that happened today, the Denver Assange people, they held an event with John and Gabriel Shipton, Julian Assange's father and half brother, and Steve was emceeing that protest. So
Yeah,
yeah.
that
We're gonna be
explains.
LA next, which is where I'll be on July 3rd, baby. Cause we're gonna fucking protest and raise hell for Julian's 50th birthday. And also, cause guess what's the day after that? July 4th. Why wouldn't we wanna fuck that up? Like, yeah, yeah. I don't know. If there's anything I missed, Luby, let me know. Because I forgot when the last time we updated everyone on X's case was. Oh, when's the next tweet storm?
Oh, and did you also explain about the amnesty thing, or?
I said that his lawyer tried to contact Amnesty, but I haven't gotten too much into that. Right now I'm looking for the date for our next tweet storm here. Where is it? I know it's somewhere in the timeline. It's going to be Friday. No. Scratch that. It's not Friday. Not Friday. It's Saturday. The next tweet storm is Saturday, June 26th, 4 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Pacific Time, 9 p.m. in London, and 10 p.m. in Paris, so Paris.
Has Amnesty International been co-opted yet? I haven't followed them in a while.
Well, they've been co-opted, but I mean, I think...
It's like the ACLU. You know, the ACLU, they're always about civil liberties, but when it comes to like the COVID stuff, they play fucking dumb and they're like, get your vaccine, right? Meanwhile, there's another one called ACLJ, which is more a right-wing organization, and they're like, yeah, let's fight them. So the irony is like the left,
Oh
the
my
left turned
god.
into like this COVID thing took the left and turned them into like this most authoritarian group.
Where's
With sad
the...
stories.
Yeah. Even that Sunrise not giving a shit about the pipeline spill. That's fucking weird.
Yeah.
There's a guy named Cryptic Jack in the chat.
Ooh, wonder who that is.
I like the chat, by the way, tonight. Like, there's a lot of activity. People seem to...
Any other stuff?
I'm getting so much attention here. Sorry.
Any other topics?
I could find
Um,
talk about. It depends if I want to keep the show going or not.
I don't think
I'm
we
just
have any
fucking
more
with you.
topics.
I'm just fucking with my boss.
I don't know.
I don't know, we can just go live
We
tomorrow
got
again. Do we even have time, Rob? You didn't have much time, you said.
Oh, you know what it is that it depends on how sleepy I get, because I got to get up at like 6 in the morning. Right now it's 12:30 a.m. So,
Oh my god.
no, it's okay. I have my downtime at work. But if I'm tired, then I'm tired, and I'll like just conk out. Right now, I'm not.
Well, I mean,
Oh yeah, like some,
Oh, no, we-
hey, I have something to say about these tweet storms. Like I get messages like it's not a perfect time for everyone. So it might be an idea if we have a tweet storm, 2 tweet storms that day, or we do the entire day, I guess.
The whole entire day is what
Yeah.
Why don't you hire
If we can
some
spam it over like a couple of hours, then that would. I don't know. Like obviously I'm not an
It's-
expert on this, but I mean,
It's like it's 6 in the morning in Australia. I mean, that's yeah.
yeah,
Doesn't that-
bro, do it proper. 4x1 relay style, where like you kick it off on Pacific time, and then boom, first leg goes off. Then you get the exchange to the second leg, which is in like UK and shit. And then UK is like, oh snap, running on the backstretch, let's go. And the next thing you know, they hand it off to like Japan or something, and then Japan is like, whoops, we're gonna go all the way to Australia, and then boom, anchor leg, take it home, tweet storm, boom.
That makes sense because like Twitter probably has an algorithm that can like it'll say that it's a bot or whatever, and then it will just derank it. Because don't they
Twitter
do that?
doesn't like our tweet storms. They never liked the "We Are All Assange" tweet storms, and they never liked the Feed Yemen tweet storms either. And
They make our
they
accounts
don't like-
disappear with it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
but
they don't like Mark
what do you mean
Lubers
they-
either.
No, make Mark
do you mean
Luber's
they-
account disappear.
But by saying they don't like it, what do you mean? Like they shadow ban it, or they
Oh,
just
they-
actually like?
Shadow ban, suppress, outright
so-
like.
They killed my entire account, and I asked why. And they said like you're manipulating hashtags, even though I created the fucking hashtag.
So then the thing is like, when there's a tweet storm and it gets shadow banned, what effect does it have? These fuckers, they have the buttons.
They blacklist the keywords.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
If your account is
Maybe-
shadow banned, it will just be entirely invisible in the search. They won't find your tweets.
yeah. So then there might be a better way to do it, like stagger it, like she was saying, because if they can auto ban, or maybe they don't, maybe they just auto shadow ban. I don't know. God damn, this world sucks.
Aw.
Yeah, it's sad we even.
Beautiful and cruel world.
It's just sad we even have to still be there on these platforms that treat us like that. Like, yeah, it's sickening.
That's why. I like what Steve says. We live in a cartoon, because like if you see it as a cartoon, then you can't take it serious anymore.
Shitty
insane.
cartoon though.
Yeah,
I'm the
Fucking
clown.
Ren and Stimpy.
But,
Just
We're in Ren and
pretending,
Stimpy.
Jack.
yep, I'm just pretending. I live in a dream.
The Matrix.
Dream within a dream.
Yeah.
Inception.
Right. That's actually where that reference is from.
Yeah,
saw that movie.
I love that.
Yeah, and that movie's kind of fucked up because at the end you don't know if he's still dreaming.
Confusing.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Was he ever really awake?
They
I
didn't.
know.
They didn't answer it.
Right.
I hate
It's
that
like-
it ended like that too. I remember I was being so
Oh.
pissed. I was like, "Is the top gonna fall down or what?"
Yes, and I like those mind fucks because it kind of tells me that's how reality is. Like you don't know what is real until you like face it, and that's it. Even if it's fake. If you don't know it's not real, then you're gonna believe it anyway. You know?
You should usually not believe something you have to ask too many questions about.
Yeah. Well, that's the
Even if
thing.
it's
Like,
even if it's real, it's so convoluted you're never gonna find the truth.
The only thing I
Someone-
trust is the plan.
What is the plan?
The plan is
that's the
Q.
whole
70
That's
chess.
the whole thing about it. It's like whenever they foist a scam upon us, like a false flag, COVID, vaccines, whatever, like the more questions you ask, the more immune you are to bullshit. So you might as well ask questions about anything in reality, because then you may not believe anything, but you're truly free to not believe. Because I don't know, like-
I think the real solution is just not giving a shit. Yeah.
yeah, Yeah.
Like
I mean,
you
you don't-
don't give a shit about all these. Like, as soon as something becomes convoluted in nature, you should immediately just stop giving a shit. Because
Yeah.
it's just distractions. It's like someone's flicking their fingers, snapping their fingers, and telling you to pay attention to something that really don't fucking
Exactly.
matter. You know what
Just
I
like you posted, the Joker.
mean? It's almost as if they don't really have a plan, but they have a construct. Is what they have actually. It's like a rule set of how to make X, Y, and Z just happen. There's no real plan. That's why they actually have to abuse events that happen and occur as they come. They don't really.
Well,
I don't really think they generate too much of themselves, to be honest with you. Why would you generate things yourself when people by nature do it all on their own? So then you could just wait for people to make something happen, and then you can just abuse it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
that-
it would be just a big waste of time to generate it on your own. It would take lots of money, too many mouths to speak. So instead, what you can do is just wait for events to play out before you and tinker with it.
Yeah, like the 9/11 Truth Movement, like it divided really. They had Judy Wood saying that there were no planes and it was a space weapon, whatever. There were like 20 different angles. Yeah, there were like 20 different angles to it, right? And the one thing that I kept telling my friend who got me into it back then, because I really didn't care until like a year later, he was like, "Ooh, you have to look at this." And I'm like, okay, well, if I need to believe like 5 different things that I don't know about to prove your fucking point, maybe it's bullshit. But then later on, I was like, well, yeah, like, I don't know. I don't know what took down the buildings, but like, yeah, it could be explosives.
The reality is it doesn't matter.
Exactly,
And
exactly.
that's where they get you. They get you on these convoluted, conspiratorial nonsense bullshit, okay? And they're just like, well, this could have happened, or that could have happened, or there was no planes at all, and it was just all, a big magic trick, but who cares? All that matters is that there was a magic trick performed. You know what I mean? And the cool thing about a magic trick is, right? You don't have to know how the magic trick works to know that it's magic. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Who cares?
And actually, that's a
just a
good
magic
point
trick.
because. Yeah, that's a good point. Like when you think of a magic trick, you're thinking of like
Exactly.
what's the punchline, what's the catch, right?
Exactly.
And the catch is like you put the woman in the cabinet and you turn the thing around and she disappears, right? Okay, that's what you were trying to do. So like when 9/11, like who cares what the details are? The catch is that they took away our freedoms and they never gave it back.
That is what matters. How the magic trick happened doesn't matter. What really matters is what is the result of said magic trick. That is what matters. It doesn't even matter that it happened, in fact. And I don't mean to be, I'm not saying that to be like, just like, ooh, who cares? What I'm saying is the fact of the matter is they were there to accomplish a mission. And that's, and them taking down the towers accomplished their mission. It doesn't really matter that they took down the towers. It doesn't really matter how the towers were taken down. What matters most is the fact that they were there to accomplish something, and they accomplished it. The magic in between doesn't matter, because if it's a good magic trick, you're never going to know anyway, which is what it is. It's a trick. You're never going to figure out how it happened and exactly all the people that were involved. You're not going to, because it's just too convoluted, and there's too many conspiracies, and there's too much misinformation. So what you should focus on is the real facts and the real data.
Yeah, the fact that you lose your human rights and that you need those back, right? That's what you fight.
Who gives a shit about anything else? None of the rest of the shit matters. It doesn't.
Yeah, and
If we can establish the baseline of what happened without arguing so much about the details of how it happened, then we can really begin to understand and find simple things to organize around and fight back.
They keep the magic trick going by doing this. Like even now, their magic trick is still playing with people's minds. Fucking with that Cyclops.
Yeah, but see, that's the thing. The taking down of the towers wasn't the full trick. It was a small part of the whole magic trick, right? A tiny little part.
And you know what's funny? even among the COVID people, the people who question COVID, there's like a lot of speculation, like, oh, it's magnetic and all this shit, right?
It's a bunch
And
of
the thing
bullshit.
is, like, yeah, but even if it's real or not, it doesn't
It doesn't
change the
matter.
fact. Yeah, it
Yeah.
doesn't change the fact that they're covering up people getting fucking injured by this vaccine, and they're pushing it on kids, right? And if you go back a little bit more, Rainer Folmick, who's like a lawyer who's trying to do Nuremberg 2.0, how they're testing on us without real consent and all that stuff, he is going to make the argument, like his main argument is that like the testing is bullshit. So they're throwing us into a pandemic knowing that a test is bullshit. You just have to find that like one solid fact that like can be proven, even how simple it is. Like with 9/11, it's like, you know, that, for example, the military didn't shoot down the plane that was going to hit the second tower because they thought it was a fake plane because of the fucking exercise that day, right?
Oh, it sounds
That's
like
a
a bunch of
simple.
bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, like, of course, it's a bullshit story, and the same thing with the pandemic, whatever, right? Like things
Yeah,
are
so you're
going.
getting the point. Yeah, you just need to stick to the facts, things that you don't
Yeah.
keep questioning. The second
Yeah.
that you're asking one question after another, I'm not saying don't ask questions. No. What you can't do is, if you have to keep questioning something, and you have to keep questioning something, you're not being intelligent, you're being fooled into a rabbit hole. And that is the whole
Yeah.
point of the magic trick, is that you fall into the rabbit hole and you don't realize the whole point of the trick.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey.
You completely missed the point. You've been
Yeah,
silent.
yeah, it's like the people on the left, let's say the progressive Democrats. They're thinking like there's this deeper meaning to what they're doing, just like in Q or whatever, like trust the plan. And the same thing happens in
But
any
what is
like
the plan? What is the
Yeah.
plan? You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
5D chess. Who fucking knows?
Yeah, exactly.
It's a bunch of bullshit.
exactly.
What is the plan? They don't ever tell you, because there isn't.
Because the neurotic people in power, the predator class, are the ones that are obsessing over controlling the future. Like Orwell was saying, like he who controls the past controls the present, and he who controls the present controls the future, or something like that. And the thing is, as soon as we start trying to predict the future, we're no different than them in some ways. We start getting deluded.
Exactly. You don't need
Yeah.
to worry about what doesn't exist yet. The second you start worrying about what doesn't exist yet, you fall into yet another rabbit hole.
Well,
Like-
that. Yeah, that's
Go ahead.
funny though, because in physics and like ufology and stuff like that, they believe like the future can be, you could travel to the future, in
No, you
physics
can't.
too. Yeah, of course not. And even if
You can't travel to what doesn't exist yet. It hasn't
Well,
been created.
they think it exists, you see what I mean? Like, because
There's no
Um,
actual facts. There's no data or any sort of
Yeah.
scientific evidence that's practical that
Oh,
can
I agree.
prove this. All there is
I
is
agree.
just some theoretical consensus nonsense. And even
Yeah,
if we
yeah, yeah.
can travel to the future, quantum mechanics is a bunch of garbage. Because like
It
they
is, it
say,
is.
like as soon as you start observing something, it becomes unobservable and shit, and that just sounds like garbage. So then, what are you even studying? You know what I mean? If you could study this particle, and the second you start looking at it, it could be doing something else, and you don't realize it. It just sounds like a bunch of nonsense to me.
yeah, check that guy, that link I sent, Heinz von Forrester. He said, like, in physics, like, they want to find the answer to everything. So what they do is they start coming up with these formulas to, like, model the universe, right? So they want to be able to measure how far it is to the edge of the universe and how time works and all this stuff, right? But the thing is, they're starting off with a belief, right? And mathematics, numbers that don't represent reality but are in your head, actually can lead you into a delusion where you believe that you know reality is what you wrote down, right? So like, you know how like some religious people think that like, oh, all so-and-so people go to hell, whatever. Like, it's not a proven thing, but yet you believe in it, so then you see it in reality. So you might want to save someone because you're like, oh, you're going to hell. So it's like, it becomes like a survival thing, but it's a delusion. We are a deluded species.
Yeah, everybody is deluded. My question is, like, why do people care so much about these things that you can't prove or disprove? Like, why do they care so much about it? Like,
Yeah.
why don't they care more about the facts and the data, which are things
Yeah.
Well,
that can be
and
proven?
like coming to terms, knowing, like accepting that something can be unknown for now.
Yeah,
Like,
you have to accept it. You don't know. Like, is there a God?
you don't have to have the answers for everything.
You can't prove that there is or isn't a God. I mean, you see scientific evidence that there is a God. You can see scientific evidence that there isn't a God, but there's no 100% foolproof data that God exists or doesn't exist, or even multiple or just higher beings of some sort or any other thing of that nature. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
or even the idea that AI could exist, because I know Gloria and Steve went through that AI document, and they're obsessed with this idea of AI. And I kind of wonder, like, are they developing AI to come up with a reason to do the fucked up things they do, and they could just point the finger and be like, yeah, the AI told us to do it? Or do they actually believe that they can create, like, some kind of computer smarter than them thing that won't be a threat to them? Isn't that weird, right? Like, if you created something that's smarter than you, wouldn't it, like, dominate you?
I don't think we'll ever actually advance that far in AI, to be honest.
Yeah, me neither. I mean, like, the whole idea
I think it's
of AI, the best one is the YouTube and Facebook and Twitter algorithm, right? You know how, like, in the beginning, YouTube was, like, recommending, like, conspiracy shit to people because they knew that conspiracy stuff got more watch time. So the algorithm got smarter and started, like, recommending Alex Jones or whoever to like everyday people, and he became very popular, right? But nowadays, because they don't want people to see whatever questioning the war or COVID or Syria, they derank stuff, right? But they thought that, like, because they can, like, put CBS News and ABC and BBC in front of you, like, you would actually watch them. But it turns out people aren't watching them. So that kind of gives me hope.
That's fair. They do get
Yeah, it's like-
ratioed a lot.
Yeah, right. Jimmy Dore is great at pointing out the ratios on Twitter, and it's ridiculous. Like, you would think Twitter, fixed as they are, would hide that shit, like, immediately, but I guess they're slow.
Yeah,
They could even-
I mean, they do
could-
kind of have that, like, restricting replies shit. I don't know.
How does that work?
Like, you can set the replies to your tweets, and when you send out a tweet, you can be like, only people you follow can reply to this tweet.
Yeah,
No one can reply to this tweet.
there's a new
Or something
thing
like
now.
that.
Yeah.
Oh, it was added
Yeah.
recently. Like on YouTube, I think they added recently the like button and the dislike button without the numbers.
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Yeah, because Biden, like, every fucking Biden video, it's like 300 people like it and like 20,000 don't. You know what it is?
Porn is deep into these rabbit holes. Thing.
Yeah,
There might be hope yet.
yeah, that's kind of like what Ryan said about the vaccines. He's like, they keep saying that, like, we have 70% or 60%, but in reality, we only have like 40% of the population that did it. And the same stat they found, like, in the Marines, like, or in the military or Marines or whatever, like, only 40% took it. And the same thing in, like, nursing, right? So he's like, there is this common number of like 40% of people that just, like, follow orders. The rest of them are, like, still kind of, like, not sure. And the problem is, though, like, if they come up with the next, whatever you call it, scare, it might push some of them over. Yeah, that's the whole thing about it. Like, when like you were saying, you can't really be sure of anything, right? Like, until you have, like, clear evidence.
Factual
Yeah.
data that can be proven.
Yeah, so that this whole, like, one of the problems I've found in the COVID truth movement is, like, there's so much speculation on this, like, Wuhan thing. And I'm like,
Oh,
we
yeah.
don't even... Yeah, but, like, PCR testing, the way that they counted the deaths, the way that people were put on ventilators, that easily accounts for all these excess deaths that they claim, right? So like there was no virus, and if you think about these Nazis or whatever they are, like if they had a really deadly virus, you think they would hold back? No, they would have used that shit already. I think they never could develop a deadly virus, and right now they're just like creating fear porn. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a good thing to raise.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's kind of how our military works, right? Like, we always have the better weapons, but we really don't. Because Russia whooped their ass a couple times recently. I think there was, like, in the Baltic Sea, we were doing some exercise, and they were able to do something where they disabled the ship for, like, a few minutes. So maybe that's why Biden agreed to the pipeline, because he's like, oh shit, like they have something they can mess us up with. Call their bluff.
Okay, I think we covered everything for tonight.
Yeah.
We'll go back live tomorrow again.
All right.
Sure.
And tomorrow local leagues is coming on too.
Nice.
Awesome.
Bad.
Oh yeah, and also he was to say he doesn't think McAfee committed suicide. They're hunting down dissidents left and right, is what he's saying. He's saying.
All right.
So
Thanks
this
for
is
that
going to
word, Ted.
be, this will be an exciting episode tomorrow.
Sir.
So yeah, maybe give the PSA.
Well, all right. Thanks, y'all, for tuning in, and always remember to spam neuter your politicians and lobbyists and bankers and defense contractors.